Chapter 367. In the Heavenly Dragon Palace, Renjiro sat on the throne and looked coldly at the ministers who were trying to persuade Renjiro. Princess, Prime Minister Long was already in control of the Heavenly Dragon Empire before this. Now that you have changed it, it is tantamount to taking away his foundation. At that time, he will definitely send troops to attack us. One of the ministers said, "Bullshit. What foundation? The Heavenly Dragon Empire belongs to the Ren family. Is there anything wrong with getting rid of unnecessary things?" Another minister was unhappy and retorted, "After the death of the great emperor, Prime Minister Long has been trying to take away our power. He even wants to assign us to the border to manage those dilapidated cities. Obviously, he wants us to be unable to manage this city anymore." That's right. Those of us who have always supported the main faction have lost our power. We can't even interfere in the management of the Heavenly Dragon Empire. If the princess did not come back, we would have been assigned to the border to fight against the Netherworld Empire. Yes, the princess did not do anything wrong. Her prestige is still there. Don't you see that many people are supporting the princess? Even after a few years, the princess' prestige is still very stable. There is no doubt that the princess will become the goddess. This is also the Ren clan's bloodline. Can Prime Minister Long control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure? The Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure is the symbol of our fight against the Netherworld Empire. That's not what I mean. I just want to adopt a soft policy. Prime Minister Long's prestige is not low now. He used his power to suppress many rebels and even the experts of the Netherworld Empire. It's a bit too much to just get rid of them. After all, Prime Minister Long is the princess's uncle. One by one, the ministers started arguing. Renjiro furrowed her brows. "Stop arguing. I have made up my mind. There are some things that need to be changed. As for Prime Minister Long, we will talk about it when he comes back." Renjiro said, "Princess, this will easily arouse the public's anger. Prime Minister Long is leading the army to resist the pressure of the Netherworld Empire. If you disintegrate his power here, won't people talk about it?" One of the ministers hurriedly said. There weren't many ministers present, only 8 or 9 in total. Most of them supported Renjiro, and only a few of them didn't. They felt that she had gone too far. Prime Minister Long was working hard outside, but Renjiro was here to take away Prime Minister Long's power and assign some people who had a close relationship with Prime Minister Long to other places. Especially when Renjiro's reputation was gradually declining, doing so would undoubtedly be pushing himself into a pit of fire. Renjiro's prestige was still there, but it was not as high as Prime Minister Long's. After sleeping for so long, many people were wondering why she had disappeared and where she had been all these years. There's no need to say anything more. I've already said it. I've already made up my mind. Did you just ignore my words? Renjiro glared coldly at those who had objected. Her domineering gaze caused the official's heart to tremble, and he lowered his head, not daring to look her in the eye. He swallowed his words, not daring to utter a single word. Soon after, she stood up and said, "I'm tired. I want to rest for a while. Everyone please leave." "Yes, Prince." They all retreated one after another. They didn't stay here any longer, and they didn't dare to stay here any longer. Renjiro turned around and walked back through the long corridor. Just as she was about to return to her dormitory, a few black shadows flashed quickly and blocked her way. "Princess, please come with us." One of the black-clothed men walked out. As soon as his voice fell, a lot of black fog surged in her direction, instantly covering the area where she was standing. Are these people sent by Prime Minister Long? Why does he send people again and again? Isn't there anything new? Renjiro's eyes flashed with killing intent. She stretched out her hand and a heavenly dragon's power was released from her body. A heavenly dragon was released from her body and whistled in all directions, surrounding her body and preventing the surrounding black fog from approaching. As expected of the heavenly dragon's power, even the poisonous fog can't get close to her. If it was an ordinary cultivator, they would have already been invaded. The leader of the black-clothed men smiled faintly and said, "But don't worry, this time it will be very new." Following that, 2 figures flashed out of the black fog. They held long whips in their hands and charged toward Yongling. Get lost. Renjiro had already gathered her strength. She stomped on the ground and the heavenly dragon's power roared around her. The whole space around her shook as if it was going to collapse at any time. When the heavenly dragon's power wanted to shake off the attacking power, the long whip actually locked the heavenly dragon's power, forcibly binding the whistling heavenly dragon's power. No matter how hard the heavenly dragon struggled, it couldn't break free from the rope. Oh, the dragon snaring lasso? I don't know where you came up with such a stupid idea. You want to use this trash to tie me up? Renjiro smiled faintly. Princess, you are too naive. A mocking smile appeared on the face of the black figure under the veil. Following that, the rope that tied up the heavenly dragon's power began to release black energy. It quickly seeped into the heavenly dragon, trying to corrode it. Under the corrosion, the heavenly dragon's power roared in pain. Even Renjiro's face darkened. The heavenly dragon's power was no ordinary power. It was the power of her soul. It could be said that the power connected to her was not a void spirit stage phantom. Therefore, if she was attacked, she would suffer the same damage. This is the dragon-slaying poison. Renjiro's expression changed. Prime Minister Long gave it to you, right? Hee, you don't need to know that. Today, you will have to come with us. There is no need for you to meddle too much in the affairs of the palace. Just follow us back. The man in black sneered. Under the influence of the dragon-slaying poison, Renjiro's strength rapidly weakened. Naturally, she wouldn't give up without a fight. A dragon blade appeared in her hand and she was about to attack. Suddenly, a figure rushed out and pressed down on the man in black who had tied up Renjiro with the dragon-snaring lasso. He was flattened to the ground. He didn't even have time to scream before he stopped breathing. The sudden change stunned everyone. Without any warning, a powerhouse had charged over and killed his companion in an instant. Although his cultivation was not high, he was at least at the peak of the spirit core stage, but he was flattened by a single kick. For you, the man in black shouted angrily. So many people bullied my sister. As her brother, I had to show up, Itianyun said, but his words shocked everyone. Chapter 368. Brother, are you the great Emperor Ren? No, the great Emperor Ren is dead. You can't be the great Emperor Ren. For you. The black-clothed man looked at him from head to toe. He felt pressured because he couldn't see through Yi Tianyun's cultivation. His cultivation was at the 6th level of the core transformation stage. However, he felt a sense of fear when he faced Yi Tianyun. Although Yi Tianyun didn't attack him, his heart trembled. He felt as if he was facing a ferocious beast that was about to pounce on him at any time. The next moment, Yi Tianyun didn't answer him with words, but with his fist. His body flickered, and in the next moment he kicked the other black-clothed man who used the dragon-snaring lasso. The other black-clothed man was sent flying. The black-clothed man smashed into the wall and fell to the ground. Renjiro was shocked by Yi Tianyun's domineering aura. Most importantly, she had never seen this man in front of her before. He claimed to be her brother, which was very confusing. While she was confused, Yi Tianyun had already rushed towards the black-clothed leader and punched him. Retreat! Retreat! The black-clothed man turned around and tried to escape when he saw Yi Tianyun rushing towards him. A cloud of black smoke exploded between them, forming a fog that allowed them to escape. Since you're here, don't leave so quickly. Come in. However, it was too late. Tianyun stretched out his hand and pulled the black-clothed man out of the black smoke. He threw the black-clothed man into the air and kicked him in his dantian. Bang! The black-robed man grunted and was sent flying. He landed beside Renjiro and clutched his stomach. His face was ashen. You destroyed my danton and crippled my cultivation, he said. A 6th-level core transformation stage cultivator was easily crushed like a chicken. Even his cultivation was easily destroyed. It wasn't difficult at all for him to defeat Yi Tianyun. Even General Long was crushed by him, not to mention that his cultivation was a level higher than this black-robed man's. Following that, a few more black-clothed men were dragged back and kicked away. Their bodies were plastered to the ground and they were no longer breathing. Ding! Successfully killed assassin. Reward, 260. 000 EXP, 3300 crazy point, 200 SPs. Obtained Dark Shadow Steps, Dark Shadow Flash. Items obtained: Shadow Blade, Dragon Binding Rope, Dragon Killing Poison. Ding, successfully killed assassin, gained 270,000 experience. One by one, the assassins were killed, and the items that they dropped when they were killed left him dumbfounded. Just like the Netherworld Empire's Shadow Guards, the Dark Shadow Steps technique was also cultivated. Could it be that all martial arts were interlinked? However, he didn't stop and continued to drag back the men in black who wanted to escape. Apart from the leader, the rest were killed with a kick or a punch without mercy. Only the strongest would be left. Even if the rest of the soldiers didn't commit suicide, they wouldn't be able to get anything out of them. Their status was low, so don't expect to get half a word out of them. In an instant, all of them were killed. Lee Tianyun stepped in front of the black-clothed man, reached out and pulled off the black cloth on his face, revealing his true face. "General Wang, it's you," Renjiro said coldly when she saw the middle-aged man. "Yes, it's me." General Wang let out a cold smile. "I didn't expect you to have such a helper. It's our mistake. Princess, I advise you to obediently hand over the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure and retire. Don't fight for the throne of the great emperor, or else you will die." That Renjiro sneered. "My brother's death is mostly related to you, right? Just based on this point, even if I'm alone and weak, the result will be death. I'll drag you all down with me." This is just her speculation, but no one knows whether it's true or not. If it was known that this was related to Prime Minister Long, then Prime Minister Long's reputation would certainly plummet and people would despise him. When the great Emperor Ren was still alive, the Heavenly Dragon Empire was quite glorious, but now it has fallen and is being attacked by the Netherworld Empire again and again. "Ha, you can't fight Prime Minister Long." General Wang couldn't stop laughing. Following that, a silver light flickered and fiercely pierced into his chest, causing him to widen his eyes and stare at her fiercely. "Whether I can fight him or not, that's a matter of the future. At least go and apologize to my brother first," Renjiro said coldly. "Do." General Wang's eyes widened, and then his head tilted to the side. Ding. Successfully killed General Wang. Reward, 390. 000 XP. Reward, 4,600 crazy points, 200 SPs. Reward, Martial Arts, Dark Shadow Step, Wave Cloud Palm, Shadowless Whip. Reward, Dragon Snaring Rope, Dragon Killing Poison. Renjiro killed General Wang, and he also got the XP. A moment later, guards rushed in from outside, having been affected by the sounds of fighting here. Without the black mist, the energy of the battle was transmitted to the outside, so they quickly came to protect the emperor. It was just that they had rushed over only after everyone had died. It was already too late. "Protect the princess." The guards quickly surrounded Lee Tianyun and pointed their spears at him. "Princess, are you okay?" one of the guards asked worriedly. "It's fine. Put down your weapons. He's not an assassin. The assassins have already been dealt with. Most of them were helped by him." Renjiro calmly said, "Clear these corpses. As for this General Wang, hang him outside the city gates as a warning to everyone. Tell them that he tried to assassinate me, and I killed him." "It's really General Wang," the guards gasped. After seeing it clearly, they realized that General Wang really came to assassinate Lee Tianyun. Soon after, they cleared up the corpses one after another. However, a few guards did not leave and stood guard at the side. "You can leave now. There's nothing for you to do here." Renjiro waved her hand and signaled them to leave. "Yes, princess." The guards looked at Lee Tianyun and didn't say anything. After everyone left, Renjiro's body slightly swayed, but Lee Tianyun supported her and said, "Are you okay? The poison seems to have entered your body." "I'm fine." Renjiro inadvertently moved away from Lee Tianyun's arms. She immediately looked at him and said, "Who are you? Why did you choose to help me? Didn't you call me brother before?" Lee Tianyun smiled indifferently and took off the mask, revealing his true face. "Brother." Renjiro was shocked when she saw Lee Tianyun's face. But it seems that the poison is too deep. Lee Tianyun supported her and said, "Don't force yourself. I'll help you inside." Chapter 369. Lee Tianyun helped Renjiro into the dormitory. This dormitory is very normal, there is no style, it is just a very ordinary dormitory. Lee Tianyun let her lie down and said, "It seems that the poison is quite powerful. It only took a little bit to weaken you so much. This is the dragon-slaying poison. It has a strong restraining effect on dragons. Although it is not fatal, it can greatly suppress their strength. Dragon-slaying poison is relatively rare. I didn't expect Prime Minister Long to have it." Renjiro shook her head. Her face was a little pale. "But it's not a big problem. I'll be fine after a little relief. Let me see what kind of poison it is. It's fine now, but if it happens again, it will be troublesome." Lee Tianyun shook his head. He reached out his hand and made a small cut on Renjiro's body. A drop of black blood flowed into his hand. Then he began to analyze it. Analyzing the dragon-slaying poison. Successfully analyzed the ingredients. There are 1 tail of dragon soul flower, 2 tails of dragon poison grass. He had the dragon-slaying poison in his body, but he wanted to take a closer look at the poison in Renjiro's body. He wanted to know how deep the poison was so that he could make a strong antidote. Different degrees of poison required different effects of the antidote. It was not a good thing to give too much information. It's hard to tell. The dragon-slaying poison is rare. Different people make it, and the ratio is different. So, if I slow down, the situation will be much better. Renjiro's face was slightly pale. Fortunately, there was less poison in her body. "Just lie down. Don't talk so much." Lee Tianyun glared at her and motioned for her to lie down. Then, he took out the purple fire divine furnace and began to refine the pill. Previously, there was a problem with the poisonous pill, so this time, he had a lot of spiritual herbs on him. They were not very precious materials, but they were enough to deal with most poisons. Although the dragon-slaying poison was very strong, he still found a way to cure it. After being stopped by him, Renjiro slowly lay down on the couch and revealed a faint smile. She stared at his serious face and enjoyed a brief moment of peace. After a while, he refined a poisonous pill. He handed it to Renjiro and said, "Eat it, and it will detoxify you." "So soon?" Renjiro was stunned. She thought it would take a long time to refine. She didn't expect it to be done so quickly. Under the 8 times alchemy mode, it was hard not to be fast. In order to cure Renjiro's poison, spending some crazy points is worth it. "Alright, just eat it quickly." Lee Tianyun gestured for her to eat it quickly. Renjiro did not suspect anything. She stuffed it into her mouth and swallowed it. A moment later, the speed in her body was quickly eliminated. The effect was quite obvious. "It's really gone. The effect is too strong. Brother, how did you do it?" Renjiro was deeply shocked. "That's simple. I can determine how to get rid of the poison from it. Isn't it amazing?" Lee Tianyun smiled faintly and said, "I will continue to refine a batch of detoxification pills for you, just in case you fall into their trap and get poisoned by the dragon-killing poison again." Lee Tianyun said as he began to refine a batch of pills. "If the poison can't be completely cured, then eat 1 more pill." "Brother, are you going to leave soon?" Renjiro knew that Lee Tianyun was not her brother, but she didn't know why she called him that way. She felt that Lee Tianyun was like a brother to her. He had been taking care of her for a long time, and now he came to save her. Although she could break through the encirclement without his help, at least he came to help her. "How is that possible?" "I came here to ask for your help." Lee Tianyun said. "What help?" Renjiro was surprised. "To fight against the Netherworld Empire together. But it seems that you are not in a good situation. Not only are you being ostracized, but Prime Minister Long is also eyeing you covetously. I suspect that Prime Minister Long is colluding with the Netherworld Empire." "What?" Renjiro said. "That's not right. Although Prime Minister Long is eyeing the throne of the Great Emperor, he wouldn't collude with the Netherworld Empire. He has killed a lot of people from the Netherworld Empire. Maybe it's just a ruse. The men in black that I dealt with before all know the secret arts of the Netherworld Empire. If that's the case, then I guess I'm wrong. Yun said. This. Renjiro was silent for a moment. This was beyond her expectations. After thinking for a moment, she sighed and said, "It seems that I can't help you fight against the Netherworld Empire at the moment. The internal situation is quite troublesome. Let's talk about it after I solve it. The Netherworld Empire must be eradicated. We have always been enemies with the Netherworld Empire." Well, I suspect that the great Emperor Ren was plotted against by the Netherworld Empire. Yun thought for a moment and said, "Then tell me, what is the situation of the great Emperor Ren?" Renjiro didn't say anything. "If it's not convenient, then don't tell me." Yun said, "It's not that it's not convenient, but I don't know the details. I'm just guessing." Renjiro sighed. "When I came back, I heard that my eldest brother was dead. He went to the Heavenly Dragon continent to eradicate the demon beasts. I didn't expect that he would never return. I heard that he was killed by a demon beast. Since then he hasn't been back. My eldest brother can't die so easily. Even if the demon beasts in the Heavenly Dragon continent are not weak, they can't trap my eldest brother. Now that I'm back, Prime Minister Long didn't say anything, but judging from the situation, I think it's very likely that Prime Minister Long is the problem. In a sense, Prime Minister Long is my uncle. He should be the great emperor. He can't control the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon, but my eldest brother can. That's why he can only be the Prime Minister. According to what you're saying, even if I can't control the secret treasure of the Heavenly Dragon, I can still ascend to the throne? Yun was puzzled. It's impossible for the Heavenly Dragon Empire to be without a great emperor. As long as I have enough prestige, I can still ascend to the throne. Renjiro frowned. But I think it's very likely that my eldest brother is still alive. He's just trapped in the Heavenly Dragon continent. Why do you say that? Yun raised his eyebrows. Just now, they wanted to capture me because they want the purest blood essence in my body. If they forcibly snatch it and Prime Minister Long absorbs it, it's not impossible for him to control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure. Renjiro said solemnly. In any case, Prime Minister Long will never give up the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure. Chapter 370. Yun frowned. Renjiro's guess wasn't unreasonable. It wasn't impossible to forcibly absorb the blood essence and turn it into one's own. It could make one's blood essence pure. Even if it wasn't perfect, it would at least be close to it. Moreover, he had to eliminate Renjiro anyway, so it was only natural for him to do so. So, the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure has always been here? Yun asked. Yes, the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure is in the Imperial capital, but without the pure Heavenly Dragon bloodline, no one can take it away. If they killed my eldest brother, they might have extracted his blood essence, and then Prime Minister Long would be able to control the Heavenly Dragon's secret treasure. Now that he hasn't succeeded in controlling it, it's possible that he didn't get it. Of course, it's also possible that he absorbed my eldest brother's blood essence, but the blood essence wasn't pure enough. Renjiro couldn't believe that her brother would die in a dangerous situation. Dangerous situations were for those with low cultivation. Those with high cultivation could escape if they couldn't win. Renjiro, as a great emperor, must be at the void spirit stage. How could a void spirit stage expert die so easily? The key was that Renjiro knew about the dangerous place. Even she wouldn't be in too much danger, let alone her eldest brother. Did you send anyone to explore the dangerous place? Yun asked. Yes, but they didn't find any clues. Only the deepest part of the Coiling Dragon Cave was not explored. Those with low cultivation would be courting death. Renjiro shook her head. I wanted to explore it myself, but I still have a lot of things to deal with. I need some helpers to go with me. Coiling Dragon Cave? Yun was startled. He remembered the Coiling Dragon treasure map in his inventory. Was it this Coiling Dragon Cave? He immediately opened the Coiling Dragon treasure map in his inventory. A detailed map appeared in front of him, listing the layout of the cave. It was indeed difficult to explore. But with this map, it wouldn't be a problem. He didn't have much time to explore before, but now he had the chance to explore. According to the Coiling Dragon treasure map, If one dug at the destination, they would be able to dig out a treasure. As for what treasure it was, there was no explanation. It only meant that this place was very dangerous and only cultivators above the spirit core stage could go there. He was about to break through to the void spirit stage, so it was not a big deal for him. Yes, the Coiling Dragon Cave. Rumor has it that there are countless dragons in the Coiling Dragon Cave, so there must be a lot of dragon skeletons or dragon blood essence. If you can dig them up, you can greatly increase your strength. Renjiro said in a low voice, "These are just rumors. We haven't even seen any skeletons, let alone a real dragon." Who knew that a few years ago, a group of very strong demon beasts would suddenly appear and occupy that place? They would often move out to destroy the surrounding cities. Big Brother led a few generals to clear these demonic beasts, but who knew that they would never return? That's a very clear explanation. If this is all an illusion, then it's just an explanation used to confuse the outside world. Lee Tianyun pondered for a moment. Then when do we move out? If you stay here, I won't be any safer than the Coiling Dragon Cave. Originally, I planned to deal with some matters first, then gather some strong people. Now that you're here, you can come with me. There's no need to bring too many people. Renjiro smiled slightly. Then let's set off tomorrow. There's no time to lose. I hope Big Brother is really still alive. If he didn't fall into the hands of Prime Minister Long, then he might be alive. Lee Tianyun can't say anything. This is really hard to say. Ren Long had been missing for several years, not just a few days. The probability of him still being alive was quite low. Of course, it was better than being caught by Prime Minister Long. Let alone a few years, he would probably die in a few days. Yes, I hope he doesn't fall into the hands of Prime Minister Long. Renjiro said worriedly. After the discussion, after Renjiro had calmed down a little, they decided to fly away to the Coiling Dragon Cave the next day. At the same time, General Wang's body was hung outside the city gate, causing a great uproar. No one expected that a dignified general would be a traitor and assassinate the princess. This immediately aroused public anger, and many people pointed their spear at Prime Minister Long because General Wang was Prime Minister Long's man. The news spread quickly, but the people who came to pacify the Netherworld Empire were even faster. They immediately announced it to the public and took out a lot of evidence to prove that General Wang was a traitor of the Netherworld Empire and had nothing to do with Prime Minister Long. After seeing the evidence, many people in the imperial capital realized that General Wang was from the Netherworld Empire. No wonder he tried to assassinate the princess and frame Prime Minister Long. All of a sudden, all the people in the imperial capital were furious. They didn't expect that the real culprit was the Netherworld Empire. Suddenly, the spearhead shifted to the Netherworld Empire, and no one thought that it was Prime Minister Long who sent people to assassinate the princess. Prime Minister Long was the uncle of the princess, and even if he wanted to seize the throne of the great emperor, there was no need for him to assassinate the princess. At the same time, in a secret room, the atmosphere was very quiet. A handsome middle-aged man sat on a dragon throne and drank hot tea. He squinted at the people kneeling on the ground and trembling. He said in a calm and heavy voice, "You are really capable. You almost caused a big problem. If you all pointed your spear at me, I would lose the people's support. How could I control the Heavenly Dragon Empire?" He was Prime Minister Long, a man who could cover the sky with one hand. Oh my lord, this is all an accident. I didn't expect that my big brother would appear out of nowhere and kill General Wang. The minister who was kneeling on the ground was trembling and didn't dare to look at the man in front of him. Big brother? What a joke. Ren Long died in the Coiling Dragon Cave. How can he still be alive? Looks like this lass must have gotten acquainted with this expert from somewhere to help her escape. Prime Minister Long said indifferently, "I deliberately created a situation where we are going to fight against the Netherworld Empire, but I didn't expect that you can't even do one thing well. What a bunch of trash." Towards the end of his sentence, he ruthlessly slapped them. A wave of spiritual power slapped through the air, sending the three people kneeling in front of him flying away. Their faces immediately swelled up. The reason why Prime Minister Long didn't stay in the imperial capital was because he wanted to capture Renjiro. Renjiro's sudden disappearance and the Netherworld Empire's responsibility had nothing to do with him. I'm sorry, my lord, but they are going to the Coiling Dragon Cave. This is a great opportunity. One of the ministers quickly added. They are going to the Coiling Dragon Cave? Prime Minister Long froze for a moment, then immediately laughed, a cold light flashing in his eyes. I thought they would hide in the imperial capital, but I didn't expect that they would choose to die. Then don't blame me for not being merciful enough. Send out the 6 dragon sealing generals and trap them for me. But this time, don't disappoint me. I want you alive, not dead. Do you understand? Yes, my lord. As long as they leave the imperial capital, the princess will have no advantage. Chapter 371. Just as Renjiro was about to leave, one of the ministers stopped her. Princess, where are you going? One of the ministers asked. Lord Lu, I'm going to the Coiling Dragon Cave to look for my elder brother. Renjiro said without hiding anything. No, you can't do that. That's where the great Emperor Ren was killed, so you can't go there. Also, you can't leave the imperial capital. If you leave the imperial capital, it'll be even more dangerous. The minister said bitterly. Am I safe here? Didn't I get assassinated before? Renjiro shook her head. I've said it before, I'll go to the Coiling Dragon Cave as soon as everything is settled here. I believe that my elder brother is still alive, he must be trapped there. At least if you stay here, you can use the Heavenly Dragon secret treasure. If you leave the imperial capital, you won't be able to use the Heavenly Dragon secret treasure. Lord Lu's face was full of anxiety. He didn't want her to leave the imperial capital. Yi Tianyun was startled by Renjiro's words. It wasn't surprising that Renjiro could use the Heavenly Dragon secret treasure, but according to Lord Lu, she could use it to protect herself at any time. He remembered that Renjiro wanted to do something to defend herself, but since he came to help, she didn't do anything. If that's the case, then I can't leave the imperial capital for the rest of my life? Renjiro frowned. I must go to the Coiling Dragon Cave, otherwise, I won't be able to rest in peace for the rest of my life. But if you go out, you'll be in danger if Prime Minister Long or the Netherworld Empire tries to assassinate you. Lord Lu said with a straight face. If you want to go out, you'll have to step over my body first. Otherwise, I won't let you leave the imperial capital. Lord Lu. Renjiro wanted to say something, but Yi Tianyun stopped her. It seems that you'll be safer here, am I right? Yi Tianyun asked. That's for sure. I don't know who you are, but thank you for saving the princess. Princess can control the Heavenly Dragon secret treasure. As long as you stay in any corner of the imperial capital and use the Heavenly Dragon secret treasure, you can protect yourself from any attack. Even Void Spirit stage experts are no exception. Lord Lu said gravely. Furthermore, if an enemy comes, as long as the Heavenly Dragon secret treasure is activated, the imperial capital will become indestructible. No one will be able to break through, and we can even summon the Heavenly Dragon to fight. Do you think this is safe? Why didn't you use it before? Yi Tianyun furrowed his brows. This sounded really domineering. I thought I could deal with them, so I didn't use it for the time being. Renjiro finally chose to confess. So that's how it is. Then you stay here, I'll go alone. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. But, there are no buts. Just stay here and wait for my news. Do you understand? Yi Tianyun glared at her and ordered her like an elder brother. Yes. Renjiro finally obeyed. Lord Lu looked at Yi Tianyun dumbfounded. He didn't know where Yi Tianyun came from to make the princess so obedient. Well, that's good. Stay in a safe place. I'll go to the Coiling Dragon Cave and help you search. As long as the great emperor isn't captured, I'll bring him back to you. Yi Tianyun said solemnly, as long as you stay here, that's enough. Brother? Renjiro nodded, her beautiful eyes flashed. Then you have to be careful? Oh right, this is the Heavenly Dragon Jade Pendant. You can wear it on your body. When you're in danger, you can crush it to temporarily block attacks. Also, this is a portrait of Big Brother. She took out a jade pendant and a painting and handed them over. After Lord Lu saw them, his mouth opened but he didn't say anything. Okay, then I'll accept this painting and this jade pendant. Yi Tianyun immediately knew that this is an extraordinary item, and the appraisal eye passed the detailed information to him. Heavenly Dragon Jade Pendant, high-grade sacred artifact. After use, it can form a protective shield that can block attacks from Void Spirit Stage Level 5 and below for the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. After the effect wears off, it will take a month for the shield to recover. This was a high-grade sacred artifact. No wonder Lord Lu's eyes were wide open. This was Rinjiro's personal treasure. If she used it, it could easily block attacks from Void Spirit Stage cultivators. But she gave it to Yi Tianyun. Although this thing was good, it didn't mean much to him. It was more important for him to accept her kindness. If he didn't take this jade pendant, he believed that Rinjiro wouldn't let him go. It was a portrait of a handsome man who bore a striking resemblance to Rinjiro. Then be careful. I know that your cultivation is not low. You're even stronger than me. But you have to be careful, Rinjiro said worriedly. She wasn't a fool. When Yi Tianyun saved her, she knew that Yi Tianyun's cultivation was very strong. General Wang was at core transformation stage level 6, but he was killed by Yi Tianyun in one move. There was no doubt that General Wang's cultivation was at least at core transformation stage. No problem. But before that, I will send someone out with me. This way, we can create a false impression that you've left the city with me. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Let them think that you are going out with me. They will definitely send people to attack us. I don't mind taking this opportunity to kill them all. That's fine, but it will be very dangerous for you. Lord Lu said in a low voice. I can send someone out with you. You can rest assured that the person I send will be prepared to die. There's no need to do that. I have my own way. Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Don't worry, I won't joke around with my life. I still have a lot of things to do. Brother, I'll leave it to you, Rinjiro said in a low voice. Tianyun nodded. After borrowing a few clothes, he turned around and left. He did not continue to stay here. Young hero, who are you going to find to help? Lord Lu and the others were a little puzzled. Naturally, Yi Tianyun didn't find anyone to help him. He just used a clone, leaving only one of the clones behind. Then, he put on his own clothes and flew out with himself. As soon as he flew out, he was immediately alerted to the situation. The princess is going out with him. Let's go. 6 figures appeared one after another. They all had a sneer on their faces. Lord Lu gave the order to kill the man and capture the princess. Even Emperor Ren was trapped by us. These two are even easier to deal with. Hee, big brother, after we kill them, we will get another reward. Yes, we can live happily for a while. Chapter 372. Yi Tianyun's flying speed was not fast. He flew towards the coiling dragon cave with his doppelganger. After flying for a short distance, he sensed that someone was following him. His perception was much stronger than others at the same level as him. Therefore, he sensed that someone was following him immediately. As expected, as soon as we left the Imperial City, someone followed us. It seems like their cultivation is not weak. Tianyun smiled, and in the next moment he sped up and flew forward at an extremely fast speed, suddenly opening up the distance between them. Did they discover us? Impossible. It is impossible for them to discover us. Let's chase after them. Feng Tian, who was the leader of the group, signaled his companions to chase after Yi Tianyun. The 6 of them flew at a low altitude. They didn't dare to chase after Yi Tianyun too fast. The cultivation of the 6 of them was not low. The lowest cultivation was at level 4 of the core transformation stage. Their cultivation was much weaker than the Void Spirit stage. However, when the 6 of them attacked together, it was a different story. After chasing for a while, they suddenly saw that the princess had disappeared. Only Yi Tianyun was left. They were shocked. They had been following Yi Tianyun for a long time. How could he suddenly disappear? What's going on? We could see him just now. How could he suddenly disappear? Feng Tian was stunned. His companions were also stunned. Their target was Rinjiro, not Yi Tianyun. Now that the princess was gone, how were they going to explain themselves? Did they really notice that we were following them? Did they ask the princess to hide? Feng Di rolled his eyes and said hurriedly, "Big brother, let's split into two groups. One group will surround that young man, and the other group will search around here to see if there is any trace of the princess." "That's what I was thinking. Let's split into two groups." As soon as Feng Di's voice fell, he and his companions split into two groups. Feng Tian led the group of 3 to chase after Yi Tianyun, while Feng Di led the group of 3 to search the surrounding area. Feng Tian and his companions immediately surrounded Yi Tianyun. They didn't want to stay behind and hide anymore. They didn't think that it was necessary. The princess had disappeared, which meant that the princess had noticed that they were following her. However, they didn't know that it was because the doppelganger's time was up. As soon as he disappeared, he put away his clothes so that he wouldn't stand out. "Young man, where is the princess?" Feng Tian looked at Yi Tianyun coldly. "Tell me where the princess is and I will let you die in one piece." "Brat, where is the princess?" Feng Tian looked at him coldly and said, "Tell me where the princess is and I'll leave your corpse intact." Yi Tianyun looked at them and smiled. "Tell me the whereabouts of the princess, and I will get the whole body. Do you understand negotiation? Since that's the case, I'll let you know what it means to suffer a fate worse than death. You'll know why it's better to die with an intact corpse." Feng Tian pointed his finger at Huang Xiaolong and said coldly, "Capture him." Under the command, the 3 of them quickly moved. As they surrounded the area, they blocked off all possible escape routes. Each of them guarded an area and cooperated very well. It was obvious that they had worked together for many years to be able to achieve this level of skill. Yi Tianyun glanced at them, and detailed information immediately appeared in his eyes. Feng Tian, 7th level of core transformation stage. Equipped with best grade soul tool armor. Holding best grade soul tool weapon. Weakness, no obvious weaknesses. The martial arts he knew included the Dragon Seal art and the God Binding Lock. Kill it to obtain the Dragon Sealing art and God Binding Rope. Feng Yun, 6th stage of core transformation stage. Every single one of them had a detailed profile. Their cultivations were not low, and they all held top-grade soul tools in their hands. They didn't seem to be holding any weapons in their hands, but upon closer inspection, they were transparent weapons that looked like dragon tendons. They were all wrapped around their hands in preparation to tie him up. "Go." The 3 of them immediately surrounded Yi Tianyun and threw out the God-binding chains in their hands at the same time. In an instant, a large net was formed above Yi Tianyun's head, sealing off all his escape routes. It was the same for those below. They were all surrounded by the God-binding chains. As expected of the God-binding rope, it could even bind a god. But in the next moment, Yi Tianyun has disappeared in place and appeared behind Feng Yun, aiming at his back and slammed a punch on his back. Boom! It was as if Feng Yun had transformed into a meteorite, smashing into the ground from the sky. With a boom sound, he smashed a large pit in the ground. Feng Yun directly collapsed in the big pit. He was killed by Yi Tianyun's punch. Ding! Successfully killed Feng Yun, gaining 390,000 EXP for 500 crazy point, 300 SBS. Obtain the martial arts God Binding Lock, Dragon Seal art. Obtain the item God Binding Rope, Dragon Slaying Poison. After killing Feng Yun, Yi Tianyun took out the Cold Ice Divine Bow and aimed at Feng Tian. Yi Tianyun loosened the bowstring and shot a thick ice arrow at Feng Tian. Wrath of Cold Ice. Not stingy with 5,000 crazy points, Yi Shiwen aimed at Feng Tian, and 50 million combat power swept out. Wherever it went, everything was frozen, as if it was snowing heavily, covering the whole area. "Quick, run away!" Feng Tian turned around, wanting to escape. However, how could his speed be faster than the fury of ice? In an instant, he was engulfed by the ice, turning into an ice sculpture in midair. Even if he melted, he would still be dead. Then he fell from the air to the ground, and with a bang sound, he turned into a pile of ice slag. The water seal on the side was also sucked in by the fury of frost. It was instantly frozen into an ice sculpture. It had only brushed against the edge a little, but it was already frozen into an ice sculpture. 2 kills with 1 arrow. The three people who were searching in the back were shocked when they sensed the situation over here. He hurriedly flew over to take a look, only to discover that his three companions had been killed in an instant. He was so scared that his guts exploded. This is a trap, run away. They screamed and quickly flew back. 3 of the 6 Feng Long brothers were killed, and the remaining 3 were not a threat at all. The key is that the strength of the other party is too much. How can they continue to stay here? Where do you want to escape to? Yi Tianyun's ghostly voice sounded in front of them. They didn't know when Yi Tianyun appeared in front of them, but they were scared out of their wits. They were scared and retreated again and again. Yi Tianyun was still a mile away from them, and in a blink of an eye, he is already in front of them. Just this speed alone scared them out of their wits. Chapter 373. Yi Tianyun's aura pressed down on them, causing their expressions to change. However, they had been through a lot and quickly calmed down. They exchanged glances with each other and quickly surrounded him. They didn't choose to run away but chose to surround him. Dragon Seal Technique. The moment they were surrounded, they immediately displayed their unique skills. The 3 of them released powerful spiritual powers from their bodies and connected them together, forming a dense spiritual power shield. It seemed as if they were completely connected. Generally speaking, for the spiritual energy to be linked together, they had to be very coordinated. If one of them had a little more or a little less spiritual energy, it would immediately cause chaos and they would not be able to link together. If they were to forcibly link together, the stronger one would definitely bring harm to the weaker one. If they could link together like now, their strength would increase greatly and reach a terrifying level. Almost instantly, their combat power rose sharply, reaching a strength of more than 20 million, and it was still rising. This was the strength of their combined strength. When they fused together, it reached a terrifying value. Originally, there were 6 people in a large formation. Now that half of them were gone, its power was naturally weakened. If the 6 of them combined, their strength would be unimaginable. After they displayed it, countless spiritual energy was released from their bodies, forming a dense and strong net that enveloped him. Compared to the God-binding rope from before, it was much denser and was completely woven with spiritual power. Therefore, whether it was in terms of density or strength, it was much more powerful. Previously, Feng Tian and the others had been too careless and thought that Yi Tianyun was weak. Who would have thought that he would kill them in an instant? They did not even have the chance to gather together. Now that they had gathered together, the difference in strength was too great. No matter how much it increased, it would not be able to trap Yi Tianyun. Your strength is not bad. If the 6 of you used it together, you would be able to suppress me. However, it's a pity that you are still too weak. Yi Tianyun sneered and aimed the ice divine bow in his hand at Feng Di. Yi Tianyun shot 3 arrows in a row at Feng Di. After Yi Tianyun's cultivation increased, the power of each arrow was much stronger than before. Even without the ice fury, the power of each arrow had reached more than 20 million spiritual energy. He could easily suppress everything. Dragon Seal. With a roar, the 3 of them released their spiritual energy, and at the same time, they threw out their top-grade soul tool, God-binding rope, to bind the 2 of them. With the 2 stacked together, the power was even stronger. However, they were immediately blasted apart by the 3 arrows. The 3 of them groaned and were sent flying, coughing up blood. Since the 3 of them were connected, if one of them was injured, the other 2 would also be injured. This was the biggest weakness of a joint attack. However, the advantage was the most obvious. Their combined strength would increase by a lot. It was just that Yi Tianyun's strength was too domineering. After the 3 of them were blown away, the net of light that shrouded them disappeared. Tianyun quickly flew out and shot an arrow at the 2 people who fell to the ground, nailing them to the ground. They are dead now. The system immediately popped up a notification that he had gained experience, letting him know that he had successfully killed them without needing to get close to observe. The remaining one was captured by Yi Tianyun and tied to a tree with the God-binding rope, rendering him immobile. He was already injured, and now that he was tied here, he couldn't break free. You killed my brother. The remaining one called Feng Tu rushed towards Yi Tianyun and roared. Is that so? You killed so many people, do you understand this kind of affection? Yi Tianyun looked at him with an indifferent expression. Although he didn't know much about the situation of the 6 of them, judging from their sin value, he believed that they had done a lot of evil things. The most important thing was that the assassins sent to kill them were undoubtedly from Prime Minister Long's side. He would never show mercy to his enemies. I'm going to kill you. Feng Tu roared, aggravating the injuries in his body. The 6 of you are quite strong. Who ordered you to assassinate us? Yi Tianyun asked. If you want to kill us, then kill us. Don't talk so much nonsense. Feng Tu roared. Naturally, he wouldn't reveal any information. You don't want to talk? Then it's simple. Yi Tianyun took out a pill and stuffed it into Feng Tu's mouth. Immediately, Feng Tu's face turned black. It was obvious that he was poisoned. You fed me a poison pill? Feng Tu's complexion immediately turned pale. The poison's effect was truly fast. It immediately took effect. Yes, isn't this the poison in your body? Now, let me feed it to you and see how it tastes. Yi Tianyun sat on the side, waiting for the effect of the poison to spread. Feng Tu began to struggle and scream in pain. The effect of the poison was amazing. It made him suffer a lot. The entire forest was filled with his screams, which constantly spread out in all directions, making one's hair stand on end. As time passed, he became weaker and weaker. The poison had already seeped into his bone marrow. Yi Tianyun didn't show any mercy. They had so many poison pills on their body. Without a doubt, they were used to deal with other people. They must have done this kind of thing many times. He had to pay for what he had done. When he felt that it was about time, Yi Tianyun stood up and grabbed Feng Tu's head. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Soul-searching. He immediately used the soul-searching technique. The soul-searching technique wasn't a rare technique. He had already obtained it when he killed cultivators before. The effect was only SOSO, so he didn't use it. Now that the sealed earth was unwilling to tell the truth, he could only rely on soul-searching to see if he could find any useful information. Every bit of information he could find was worth it. Under the condition of the soul-searching technique, Feng Tu trembled unceasingly and started to talk nonsense. I killed the Feng family. I even humiliated their daughter. I killed the Lu family's old man. This wasn't the information he needed. Soon he found a little bit of information, and that was, Renlong was trapped by them. However, he fell into the depths of the coiling dragon cave, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. As for other evil deeds, he wasn't interested in them at all. When he wanted to continue the soul-searching technique, Feng Tu was completely dumbfounded. He wasn't dead, but he had become an idiot. There was still a lot of information that he couldn't find, and he only obtained a little bit of information. For example, he was sent by Prime Minister Long, and Renlong was trapped by them, and finally fell into the depths of the coiling dragon cave. This information was less, but it was still useful. He couldn't continue the soul-searching technique anymore. Feng Tu had become an idiot, and his soul was useless, so it was impossible to search for other information. Sure enough, it was Prime Minister Long who sent the 6 brothers to deal with Renlong. We are really honored. Yi Tianyun loosened his hand and shot an arrow, killing Feng Tuesday. After searching for a while, he turned around and flew towards the coiling dragon cave, not wanting to stay here any longer. It seemed that there was still hope for Renlong to survive. At least he didn't die in their hands. Chapter 374. After this small interlude, Yi Tianyun continued to go to the coiling dragon cave. This time, no one came to stop him. The 6 Fenglong brothers were the strongest assassins. If even they couldn't deal with the target, it meant that the target was too strong. The news of the 6 Fenglong brothers' death couldn't be spread back to the sect as Yi Tianyun had destroyed all the evidence. Only after a few weeks or even a few months, the other side would know that the assassination failed. Otherwise, they would still think that they were still following him. This was what Yi Tianyun wanted. It would buy him a lot of time. When they reacted, Yi Tianyun had already come back from the coiling dragon cave. During this period, Renjiro was safe. He didn't even need to use the heavenly dragon's secret treasure. The Coiling Dragon Cave was not far from the imperial capital. It would take about a week to get there, but with Yi Tianyun's speed, it would only take him a day to get there. As Yi Tianyun got closer, he found that more and more cultivators were going to the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land in groups. Some of them were going alone. It seemed like they didn't care about the danger of the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land. Some of them were high and some were low. The lowest was at Spirit Refinement stage. They were really not afraid of death. The highest cultivation was only at Spirit Core stage. He didn't see many Core Transformation stage cultivators. They should have already entered the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land. It's quite lively here. Is the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land still ahead? Yi Tianyun shook his head. Seeing so many cultivators heading towards the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land, he wondered if they were just there to watch the fun. As Yi Tianyun moved forward, he could see that the area was very strange. There was a black cloud hovering in the sky. If he looked closely, he would see that there was a huge dragon hovering in the sky. Just a single dragon covered the entire area, which was enough to show how huge it was. When he was about to fly closer, he immediately felt an extremely strong pressure coming from afar, pressing him down fiercely. As he continued to fly closer, the pressure became stronger and stronger. It was so strong that he couldn't resist it. He had just reached the edge of the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land. He could only fly about 2 meters above the ground. It was basically a no-fly zone. With such a low altitude, it was no different from a no-fly zone. This force is so strong. The pressure is too great. If I flew a little higher, I would be pressed down. Tianyun was very curious about this Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land. He was not weak, but he could only fly 2 meters above the ground, and he could already feel the weight of 1,000,000 pounds pressing down on his body, making it impossible for him to continue flying. When he descended, the pressure would quickly decrease. When he walked on land, the pressure was greatly reduced, but he still felt a very strong sense of pressure. It was at least a few thousand Jin of force. If one's cultivation was too low, they would be crushed to the ground. Unless my cultivation is strong enough and my strength is strong enough, I won't be able to fly. Yi Tianyun could forcibly fly up, but it was pointless at the moment. At most, he would be flying with a force of a few 100,000 Jin, or even 1,000,000 Jin. The higher he flew, the greater the pressure would be. He looked up into the sky, using the appraisal eye to quickly analyze the situation. Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Territory. The sky is filled with the power of the Heavenly Dragon, covering this region. The closer one gets, the greater the pressure. It is not recommended for cultivators lower than 8th level Spirit Refinement Realm to enter, otherwise they will not be able to walk. In addition, he can accurately see the position in the sky, and how many thousands of Jin of force would be reached. At the top of the clouds, there is a force of nearly 100 million Jin. Who can withstand it? He can only withstand the force of nearly 1,000,000 Jin at most. If he burst out with all his strength, he can fly up to a few dozen meters high at most, but the consumption is too amazing. He is not running away, so there is no need to forcibly fly up. He shifted his gaze back to the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land. Apart from the dark environment, there was nothing else that was different. There are flowers and trees, and it doesn't seem particularly dangerous. Except for the pressure from above, there is really not much strange. But this is the outermost area. If it is dangerous, no one would dare to come here. Looking up, he saw a lot of Spirit Refinement Realm cultivators wandering nearby. They did not intend to go in, they just cultivated outside. He was completely treating this place as a cultivation ground. Cultivating in this place while withstanding a considerable amount of gravity could really achieve a certain level of cultivation effect. Yi Tianyun was wondering what kind of situation they are in, but it turns out they are here to cultivate. He was just about to say that this place is so dangerous, but they dare to come here with such low cultivation, they are simply not afraid of death. After he looked at the situation, he walked inside. The surrounding cultivators just glanced at him and ignored him. Cultivators often come here, they are already used to it. The so-called dangerous place is only for the inside, it is not for the outside. As he went deeper, the number of cultivators around him suddenly decreased sharply. There were very few who continued to go deeper, and most of them went in groups. Among them, there are Core Transformation Realm Cultivators leading the team, or Spirit Core Realm Cultivators leading the team. My name is Su Fei. Is this friend planning to go to the Coiling Dragon Cave with us? At this time, someone suddenly came over and asked. Tianyun looked up and saw a 28 or 29-year-old cultivator at 9th level core condensation. He's not handsome, but he's quite handsome, and he looks very approachable. He walked over with a smile on his face. There were other cultivators following them. The one with the highest cultivation was a handsome man at level 2 spirit core stage. He stood there arrogantly, seeing his companions coming over to pull him. His face showed a bit of displeasure. There is also a female cultivator next to him. Obviously he is the leader. Basically she is too lazy to look at Tianyun. Are you all going to the Coiling Dragon Cave? Tianyun asked. Yes, the most popular place here is the Coiling Dragon Cave. If you find a piece of dragon skeleton, then you will be rich. Su Fei rubbed his palms and smiled. Tianyun frowned. He does not want to go with others. It is meaningless. It is the fastest way to go alone. This friend, don't hesitate, I am quite familiar with this place. If other people go, they may go to a dangerous place, they may get lost. If I lead the way, it will only take half a day to bring you into the Coiling Dragon Cave. Su Fei rubbed his palms and revealed his foxtail. But, I only need 1,000 spirit stones to help you reach the Coiling Dragon Cave easily, how about it? Speaking of this, Tianyun suddenly smiled. It turns out that Su Fei is a guide. Chapter 375. Tianyun readily agreed to Su Fei's request, and Su Fei smiled at him with satisfaction. Well, then I welcome you to join us. I promise to take you into the Coiling Dragon Cave. Su Fei did not immediately collect the spirit stones. He will certainly bring them into the Coiling Dragon Cave. If he ran away on the way, who will get them back? Although 1,000 spirit stones is not a lot, but it is also not a small amount. The key point is that no one likes to be played. Tianyun nodded and stood together with the man and woman. After looking at Tianyun for a while, they did not have the slightest intention to talk to him, they just talked to each other. Brother Liang, this time we will enter the Coiling Dragon Cave. Can we find any treasures? The coquettish woman next to him asked in a very sweet voice. Her cultivation is not high, only at 2nd level core condensation, but for her age, it is not bad. Treasures are just incidental. This time we can complete the reward that the princess gave before. If we can find traces of the Ren Heavenly Emperor, or even his bones, it will be a big reward. That is much more expensive than any dragon bones. Liang Yuantian disdainfully said, as for the dragon bones, it is completely a legend. It is too difficult to find. Even if there is, it has already been plundered by others. How can we get our turn? Yes, the reward that the princess issued is very high. I heard that there will be sacred tools and so on. If we can find traces of the Ren Heavenly Emperor, won't we be rich? Isn't that for sure? Why do you think so many people have come here for? Isn't it to find traces of great Emperor Ren? Liang Yuantian said with a smile, Little Ting, just follow me. I guarantee that you will be safe and sound. Then I will rely on Brother Liang to protect my safety. Huang Ting's tone is charming to the bone. Her whole body is attached to Liang Yuantian's body, treating him as her backer. Liang Yuantian reached out and hugged Huang Ting. He cannot help but look at Tianyun. His face is full of pride. Tianyun didn't even bother to look at him. There were many people like him. Just because they had some ability, they were easily blindly confident and liked to show off. If it was someone else with a lower cultivation, they might be a little envious, but to him, there was really nothing to be envious of. In terms of appearance, Yue and the others were already a head above him, not to mention Shi Shuiyun and Yi Qingxian. However, he was more concerned about Renjiro's reward. He remembered that when he was in Dragontail City, he had heard from the people in the restaurant that the princess was gathering experts. It seemed that she was constantly sending experts to explore the Heavenly Dragon dangerous land. Renjiro didn't give up. She didn't have time to come over, so she asked others to help her. As long as he could find a trace or even a corpse, he would be rewarded with an endless stream of rewards. For example, Saint artifacts and Heaven tier martial arts were all very tempting. With the announcement of the bounty, the place immediately became lively. Su Fei looked around to see if anyone else was coming. In the following period of time, a few more people entered. However, they were all from teams, and none of them chose to join them. "Hurry up, we've been waiting here for a long time," Liang Yuantian said discontentedly. "Yeah, Brother Liang and I have been waiting here for a long time. Are you going to lead the way or not? If not, we'll leave by ourselves." Huang Ting also expressed her dissatisfaction. All right, it seems that there's really no one left." Su Fei sighed, then immediately cheered up and said, "All right, come with me later. Don't wander around on the way, just follow me. If anything happens, don't blame me, understand?" As he spoke, he put away his smile and put on a stern face. His expression was serious. He was talking about something very serious. He wasn't joking at all. All right, we got it. Let's go." Huang Ting waved her hand, signaling him to hurry up. Then she looked at Liang Yuantian and said with a smile, "What can happen? With Brother Liang here, everything will be fine." "Isn't that for sure?" Liang Yuantian was full of arrogance and didn't take it seriously at all. Su Fei looked at them helplessly, then immediately looked at Yi Tianyun and said, "Friend, you must listen to my instructions, it's very dangerous inside." "That's natural, the rest is up to you." Yi Tianyun glanced at the two of them and didn't bother to pay attention to them. Anyway, their life and death has nothing to do with him. Immediately, Su Fei led them inside, Liang Yuantian and Huang Ting followed behind, and Yi Tianyun walked at the end. They didn't separate too much from each other, keeping a distance of 2 meters. Under Su Fei's leadership, as they went deeper, the pressure became more and more intense. If your cultivation is too low, you have to leave now, otherwise you won't even be able to walk. But those who dare to come in, their cultivation is not lower than core condensation, so Su Fei asked Yi Tianyun if he wants to come with them. In the area where they were just standing, spirit refinement cultivators can't enter at will unless they want to die, otherwise, they have to stay outside. Along the way, Yi Tianyun looked around. Except for the increased pressure, the other things didn't change. It seems like there is no difference from the outside. But as they go deeper, it gets darker and darker. There are fewer people. Many people don't take this road. "Are you leading the wrong way? There doesn't seem to be anyone passing by here," Huang Ting complained from behind. "Shoo!" Su Fei hurriedly made a shushing gesture, indicating that she should not speak so loudly. "The path I'm taking is a shortcut. It's relatively safer. Be quiet along the way. If some demon beasts appear halfway, I won't be able to protect you." His face darkened. Just now, he really wanted to slap this woman's face. Not to mention him, even Yi Tianyun wanted to slap him in the face. Just follow him obediently. What's the point of talking so much? Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land is very dangerous. As a guide, he doesn't want to die. Huang Ting was completely disdainful, but she still obediently closed her mouth. Su Fei wiped the cold sweat on his forehead, looked around, and continued to lead them inside. After walking for a distance, the place is very gloomy and quiet. There are a lot of spirit grass around, but Su Fei didn't pick any along the way. Huang Ting's eyes lit up, but just when she wanted to pick some, Yi Tianyun's voice came from behind. "If you don't want to die, don't go out. The spirit grass and flowers here are not easy to pick. It doesn't matter if you want to die, but don't drag us down." Yi Tianyun said indifferently. "Boy, it seems like you have a problem?" Liang Yuantian looked at him coldly, ready to fight. "What are you doing? It is very dangerous here. Don't pick spirit grass. If you cause something to come out, you won't be able to escape." Su Fei stopped them. "Humph, boy, you are lucky. If we were outside, you would have already died." Liang Yuantian looked at him coldly, but didn't do anything. Huang Ting also snorted. She is very dissatisfied with him. Chapter 376. As they went deeper, it became eerily quiet. The only sound they could hear was their footsteps. The deeper they went, the higher the grade of the spirit herbs became. By the time they reached this point, they were at least 3rd-grade spirit herbs. In these dangerous zones, there were many natural treasures. The problem was that they had to stay alive to get them. "Brother Liang, that's a 5th grade spirit fruit, the prolonging fruit, it's priceless. Huang Ting's eyes lit up. She pointed at the fruit tree in the distance, her hands trembling in excitement. It really is the prolonging fruit. If I can pluck it and offer it to the ancestor, I'll be rewarded handsomely. Liang Yuantian was equally excited. The prolonging fruit was priceless outside. It was impossible to obtain it without at least 1,000,000 spirit jade stones. For those who were at the end of their lifespans, the value of the prolonging fruit was unimaginable. "Shoo, don't move," Su Fei hurriedly advised. "You can't simply take things here. It's easy to attract trouble." "Cowards! What kind of demonic beasts could there be? There's not a single demonic beast here. It's very quiet," Liang Yuantian said coldly. "If you don't dare to take it, I'll go get it myself." "Yes, you're too cowardly. What kind of demonic beasts could there be? We've walked so far and there's not a single demonic beast." Huang Ting sneered. "Brother Liang, hurry up and go get it. Don't worry about them. I'll give you one last piece of advice. If you're greedy here, only death awaits you," Lian Yun said indifferently. "You don't have the ability or the guts to say that others are greedy. Opportunities are for those who have the ability and guts, not cowards like you." Liang Yuantian sneered. "Oh, don't move. This is the Sky Dragon Dangerous Zone." Su Fei's advice was futile. Liang Yuantian had already flown over. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed, but he didn't move. He didn't say another word. Su Fei wanted to stop him, but his cultivation was not as high as Liang Yuantian's. Liang Yuantian's eyes were already filled with greed for the longevity-extending fruit. He simply wouldn't listen to any advice. He didn't think there was any danger along the way, so why wouldn't he take the benefits? When he flew to this tree and was about to climb up to pick this prolonging life fruit, a black shadow suddenly flashed over. Before he could react, half of his body was swallowed. By the time they got a clear look, they discovered that it was a python that had swallowed Liang Yuantian whole. In the blink of an eye, half of his body had been swallowed. This sudden scene left Huang Ting and the others dumbfounded. Everything had happened too suddenly. There had been nothing in the surroundings, but it had suddenly appeared and devoured Liang Yuantian. Liang Yuantian wanted to struggle free, but how could he compare to the python? Its jaws tightened, and with a crack, Liang Yuantian stopped struggling. All of his bones had been crushed, and he was dead. Then, he was swallowed by the giant python and became its meal. Ah! Huang Ting's beautiful face paled in fright, and she began to scream. Su Fei, who was beside her, immediately covered her mouth, telling her to stop screaming, or else it would attract even more demon beasts. This demon beast in front of them was more than enough to kill them. Its cultivation was at 5th level spirit core stage, which was enough to crush them. Hiss! When the giant python heard Huang Ting scream, it immediately spat its tongue at them. It opened its mouth and rushed towards Huang Ting. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of them. Su Fei's face changed, and his eyes were filled with despair and unwillingness. When he was about to fight back, a figure appeared in front of them and grabbed the giant python's body and slammed it on the ground. Su Fei lifted his foot and stomped on the giant python's body, and with a crack sound, the python was completely crushed into meat paste. Ding! Successfully killed the giant python. Reward, 40,000 EXP, 3800 crazy point, 50 SPs. Reward, poison resistance pill, giant python gallbladder. A 5th level spirit core stage demonic beast was a piece of cake for him, and he easily killed it. So strong. Su Fei was stunned when he saw Yi Tianyun easily killed the giant python. However, he felt like he had just survived a disaster. His back was drenched in cold sweat, and he gripped his sword tightly in his hand. The cold sweat had already flowed down the blade of the sword and onto the ground. If you are so strong, why didn't you save Brother Liang just now? Huang Ting asked. Yi Tianyun looked at her coldly. Huang Ting was so scared that she took a few steps back and sat on the ground. What obligation do I have to save you? I've already tried to persuade you, and even Brother Su has tried to persuade you not to act blindly without thinking, but you just wouldn't listen. Since that's the case, I don't want to bother with you anymore. You are just an idiot. Lee Tianyun snorted, and at the same time, he stored the giant python into his storage ring. This is also a material, so he can't waste it. How can this be? Huang Ting covered her face and cried. Who would have thought that a giant python would suddenly appear? This is the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land, not a place to play. If you cry again, I will throw you out. Lee Tianyun frowned. Although he was not worried that this would attract other demon beasts, it would be a waste of time. But Huang Ting was so scared that she didn't dare to continue crying, and she didn't dare to look at Lee Tianyun. After Lee Tianyun looked at her coldly, he turned around and walked towards the tree. Su Fei hurriedly said, "Friend, be careful," Tianyun said indifferently. Generally, in the Heavenly Dragon Dangerous Land, where there are rare spirit fruits, there will be demon beasts guarding it. These idiots don't even know this, but they still dare to come in. Now that I have killed them, there will be no more demon beasts. Sure enough, he walked over and picked it easily without any problem. Prolonging life fruit was meaningless to him, but it was his spoils of war, so it was impossible for him not to accept it. Brother Yi, thank you for saving me just now, or else I would have died here. Su Fei cupped his fists and said gratefully, I will not take a single coin from you this time. I will definitely bring you to the Coiling Dragon Cave. Lee Tianyun smiled. It's fine, you are very responsible. What should be given to you is yours. You have already persuaded them several times and the path is very safe, but they still think that there are no demon beasts. Su Fei smiled bitterly. Not many people know about this path. I slowly found it. I did not expect it to be so bad this time. All right, let's continue. Lee Tianyun looked at Huang Ting. You can either go back the way you came, or you can come with us. Which will you choose? Huang Ting hesitated for a moment, then stood up. Her feet suddenly slipped and fell on Lee Tianyun. But Lee Tianyun had already moved to the side, letting her fall on the muddy ground. Ouch! She cried out in pain, her eyes filled with pity. Big brother E, I'm sorry, it was all my fault before. As long as you can bring me in, I'll do whatever you want to me. You can do whatever you want to me. If you do this, believe it or not, I will slap you to death, then throw you to the demon beasts to eat. Lee Tianyun said coldly, you will only disgust me. Huang Ting's face paled. She no longer dared to seduce him. She quickly got up and stood aside obediently. But she winked at Su Fei. Brother Su, all right, stop disgusting me. If you want to live, just go back the way you came. If you want to go to the Coiling Dragon Cave, then obediently follow behind. If you make any more noise, let alone brother E, even I want to throw you to the demon beasts to eat. Su Fei also did not fall for this trick. He even felt disgusted. Chapter 377. Huang Ting wanted to rely on her beauty, but she didn't know that she was useless to Lee Tianyun or Su Fei. To put it bluntly, she was just looking for someone to rely on. In the end, it was all for her own benefit. She seemed to be trying to please Liang Tianyuan, but in the end, she was just using him. Lee Tianyun had seen through this a long time ago. However, Huang Ting had no grudges with him, so he was too lazy to care about her. Without Huang Ting, their journey was much quieter. It was just that Su Fei didn't have any rewards to speak of. However, he still led the way honestly and chose the safest path. He didn't lose his enthusiasm because of this. Lee Tianyun followed behind and nodded in satisfaction. He had to admit that this path was very safe. Although it didn't look any different from other places, this path just happened to avoid the territory of the beasts. There were many beasts here, and as long as you don't trespass into their territory, they wouldn't attack. Unless they were really hungry, they wouldn't choose to hunt outside of their territory. The path that Su Fei took him on was undoubtedly quite safe, perfectly avoiding all the territories. Looks like you've been here many times, or else you wouldn't be so familiar with it. Lee Tianyun said from behind. This path wasn't something that could be walked out easily. It wasn't based on luck, but on one's own efforts. I've let Brother E laugh at me. I have indeed been here many times in search of spiritual medicine. I believe you can see that many natural treasures are guarded by beasts, so it's not easy to pick them. Unless it's the territory of the weaker beasts, I really don't dare to pick them randomly. Su Fei smiled. His smile was full of bitterness. No one would willingly come to such a dangerous place. Most of the time, it was for opportunities and to find breakthroughs. Su Fei came here often because he had an idea, and that was to break through. He wanted to advance to a stronger cultivation. That's not all. The key is that you are very sensitive to your surroundings, or else it wouldn't have been so smooth. Lee Yun smiled faintly. This should be a type of perception-type talent. It allows me to naturally sense the danger around me. Many people could sense danger, but some cultivators were even more sensitive. Su Fei was one of them. Although it seemed like one could walk back and forth just by memorizing the route, if it was really that easy, the guide would have been starving a long time ago. These territories would change frequently, and if the roads remained the same, there would be problems as well. Hee, you can even see through me. Not bad, I was born with a very strong sense of perception. I can sense danger in my surroundings in advance. As long as there is a hint of danger, I will immediately move away. When the sense of danger disappears, everything will go smoothly. Su Fei sighed. However, there's no meaning to it. In the eyes of others, it's a waste of talent. There's no meaning at all. A bitter smile appeared on his face, but it was unknown how much bitterness was hidden behind this smile. This is very useful. If you can become a general and command a group of soldiers, you will be able to sense danger and avoid it in advance. You will be a good commander. Lee Tianyun was very satisfied with this kind of talent. If he could become the commander of this side, then he would be able to greatly reduce the number of casualties during expeditions or battles. Correct judgment will always be the key to victory. Brother E, only you are willing to praise me like this? No one in my family is willing to praise me like this, and you still force me. Su Fei shook his head and did not continue to speak. Coiling Dragon Cave is not far from here, let's hurry up. Lee Tianyun nodded and continued to follow Su Fei forward. Soon, under his guidance, after passing through the forest, the front suddenly opened up. What came into view was a huge mountain. There was a winding road leading to the top of the mountain. At the top of this mountain, there was a big cave opening to the side, like a huge dragon's mouth, coiling around the mountain. It really looked like there was a huge dragon coiling around the mountain. No wonder it was called Coiling Dragon Cave. Just the appearance of the cave looked like a dragon coiling there. The big cave above could even accommodate a huge dragon, so it was not a problem to have a dragon living inside. However, that was in the past. Now, there were no longer any dragons in the Coiling Dragon Cave. They either migrated away or died here. Is this Coiling Dragon Cave? It looks quite spectacular. Lee Tianyun was also shocked by this scene. If he looked closely, there really is a lifelike dragon on top of the giant peak. There were many cultivators in front of the Coiling Dragon Cave. They were constantly climbing up, and it looked very difficult. Under such great pressure, it would be difficult to climb in. Yes, this is the Coiling Dragon Cave. Rumor has it that there are a lot of treasures inside, but it is too dangerous, so I did not dare to go in. I can only bring you up to here, I can't bring you up to the top. Su Fei said apologetically. His cultivation was a bit too low, so he did not dare to go up. There may be a lot of treasures inside, but at least he had to be alive to take them. If his cultivation was a bit higher, he would definitely go in, instead of bringing Lee Tianyun here and then leaving. Lee Tianyun's eyes flickered. He looked at him and smiled. Here is 1,000 spirit stones, I will still give you what you deserve. He took out 1,000 spirit stones and gave it to Su Fei. Su Fei pushed it back and shook his head. Brother E must be joking. I said before that I will not take a single coin from you, I will not take a single coin from you. Even if Brother E tries to force it on me, I will still throw it here. If I say I don't want it, then I don't want it. I have my own principles. Brother E saved me. If I ask for a reward from you, it would go against my conscience. Su Fei's tone was sonorous. He was not lying, he would really do it. Lee Tianyun looked at Su Fei's spirited eyes and immediately put away the spirit stones. He was very appreciative. All right, I will not force you, but I can use another method. I will give you a good fortune. I am going to enter the Coiling Dragon Cave. I wonder if you are willing to go in with me? As long as you come with me, stay by my side, I guarantee you will be safe. Su Fei was stunned. He knew that Yi Tianyun was very strong. If he had Yi Tianyun to protect him, he could really go in. Then he clenched his fists. Without thinking too much, he nodded heavily. I am willing. Then please brother. No, I should call you Big Brother Yi. Your little brother's safety depends on you. Chapter 378. Yi Tianyun felt that Su Fei was a good person. He was conscientious and not greedy for small benefits. He saved a lot of time for Yi Tianyun, which made Yi Tianyun very satisfied. He felt that Su Fei was a promising talent, so he wanted to nurture him. Bringing him into the Coiling Dragon Cave for a stroll would be enough. It was equivalent to giving him a reward. Su Fei has his own principles, so Yi Tianyun also has his own principles. Since the other party didn't want spirit stones, then Yi Tianyun will take him to the cave. After finalizing the deal, Su Fei was very excited and took the lead. I wanted to go up for a long time, but I don't have a strong backer. Big Brother Yi's cultivation should be at the 4th or 5th level of core transformation stage, right? He can't see Yi Tianyun's cultivation level. A high-level cultivator can see a low-level cultivator. A low-level cultivator can't see a high-level cultivator, but he can feel a little bit from the aura released by Yi Tianyun. Almost. Yi Tianyun nodded, indicating that he agreed with Su Fei's words. His cultivation is almost the same, but his comprehensive combat power is comparable to the 2nd or 3rd level of Void Spirit stage. That's really my luck. If I didn't meet Big Brother Yi, I don't know when I would be able to enter the Coiling Dragon Cave. Su Fei smiled. Yi Tianyun smiled and didn't say anything. Then they climbed up the mountain. The danger here is greatly reduced because there are no demon beasts at all. The biggest difficulty is not the demon beasts, but the difficulty of climbing up. As the height is different, the pressure is getting stronger and stronger. Although it's not as outrageous as flying, but the higher they go, the greater the pressure. Otherwise, the system wouldn't remind him that he needs to be at least at the spirit core stage to enter the cave. Su Fei's cultivation is only at the 8th or 9th level of core condensation, so it's still very difficult for him to deal with the pressure. But he gritted his teeth and climbed up step by step. Just halfway up the mountain, it's already quite difficult for him to walk. Yi Tianyun can feel that the pressure is several times stronger than on the ground. It's definitely more than 100,000 to 200,000 Jin. This was not a difficult task for someone with a strong physique. For those with stronger cultivations, it didn't matter if their physique was weak. As long as they put up a spiritual barrier, they could withstand most of the pressure. Therefore, although it was difficult for a spirit core stage cultivator to go up, it wasn't very difficult. Do you want me to help you? Yi Tianyun wanted to give him a hand when he saw how tired he was. No need, I want to climb up with my own strength. If I can't climb up, then Big Brother Yi doesn't need to bring me in. Su Fei smiled and said, if I can't even walk on my own, then what's the point of going in? Yi Tianyun's heart was suddenly filled with admiration. This Su Fei's backbone was really tough. All right, I'll stay here and accompany you up. Yi Tianyun was no longer in a hurry. He slowly accompanied Su Fei up. But not long after they left, a mocking voice suddenly came from the side. Hey, isn't this the young master of the Su family who ran away from the marriage? It turns out that you're climbing the mountain here. A spirit core stage cultivator looked down at him and said sarcastically, the Su family is looking for you everywhere. So you're hiding here. If I inform the Su family, I can get a reward. So it's you, Su Jian. Su Fei looked up and saw the spirit core stage cultivator in front of him. Yes, it's me. I just wanted to go to the Coiling Dragon Cave, but I didn't expect to meet you here. If your cultivation is too low, then don't force yourself. Don't you feel ashamed? Su Jian sneered and said, you don't want the woman introduced by your own family. Instead, you like the young miss of the Qin family. With your strength, do you think you're worthy? Whether I'm ashamed or not, it has nothing to do with you. Su Fei gritted his teeth and said, your shame has nothing to do with me, but you like the young miss of the Qin family. It has a lot to do with me. Su Jian sneered and said, You want to marry Miss Qin Shuang? Hurry up and go back to where you came from. As he spoke, Su Jian arrived in front of Su Fei. Just as he was about to kick Su Fei, a hand grabbed his calf and flung him to the side. Bang! Su Jian fell heavily to the side and almost fainted. His companion next to him hurriedly helped him up. You dare to hit me? Do you know who I am? Su Jian climbed up and said angrily. I don't know who you are, and I don't want to know. I only know that you are taking advantage of him. Whether he can climb up or not has nothing to do with you. But if you attack him, then it has something to do with me. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, he is under my protection now. No one can touch him. When he said this, his eyes were cold and a killing intent flashed in his eyes. He knew what was going on. It was nothing more than Su Fei did not like the marriage that the family arranged for him. Now that he escaped, he really liked the young miss of the Qin family. The Qin family was definitely not weak. It was just that Su Fei's cultivation was too low. He still wanted to pursue the young miss of the Qin family and was displeased by his admirers. No wonder Su Fei worked so hard. He wanted to improve his cultivation so that he could win the heart of the Qin family. Damn it, you still dare to be arrogant in front of me. Kick them down. Su Jian said angrily. His two companions next to him raised their feet and kicked him. The strength of this kick was not light. If he was kicked, he would roll down the mountain. It was not a joke. When he was about to kick Yi Tianyun, he raised his hand and used it as a knife. He chopped down at their feet. Crack! The bones in their legs were broken. Then they were kicked away by him. They lay on the ground and screamed as they covered their legs. Both of their legs were broken. It looked no different from being chopped off. If you don't want to die, then scram. Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. If they did not simply kick him, he would have slapped them to death. I will remember you. Su Jian's heart trembled. Although his two companions' cultivation was not high, they were at least at the 5th or 6th level of the spirit core stage. But they were easily killed by Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun's cultivation was definitely at the core transformation stage. Immediately, Su Jian led his men down the mountain in a hurry. How could they continue to walk up the mountain when their legs were broken? When they hurriedly ran down, Su Fei looked ashamed. Big brother Yi, thank you. It's just that I've brought you trouble. This is my problem, I'll solve it. Su Fei took all the responsibility on himself, but he felt more ashamed. It's okay. Let's continue. Yi Tianyun didn't say anything and let him continue to climb. Chapter 379. Su Fei gritted his teeth and quickly climbed to the top. His speed was not fast nor slow, he was still very calm. Yi Tianyun slowly followed and observed the surrounding situation. Many people looked at him strangely. His cultivation is so low and he still wants to go up, it's just courting death. Some of the cultivators who passed by had looks of disdain, some had looks of mockery, and some had looks of admiration. This has nothing to do with them. Su Fei climbed up step by step. Even if his whole body was wet with sweat and his body was shaking, he kept climbing. Oh, in fact, I have climbed up here before. I think I can definitely reach the top this time. Su Fei gritted his teeth and continued to step forward. The next moment he froze in place. Immediately, he did not speak, he sat down and began to cultivate. Yi Tianyun stood on the side to help protect Su Fei. There was no doubt that Su Fei had a breakthrough. Su Fei's breakthrough was a good way to train himself during the difficult climb, so it was not surprising that he had a breakthrough here. Sure enough, after a while, Su Fei officially broke through and entered the peak of core condensation. If he continues like this, he will successfully break through to spirit core stage. I broke through, I broke through. Su Fei was pleasantly surprised. He stood up and said gratefully, "Thank you, Big Brother Yi, for protecting me. Without Big Brother Yi, I would not have broken through so quickly." You don't need to say that. Even without me, when you climb up again, you can still break through. Yi Tianyun shook his head. Hee, then let's continue to climb. This time we will definitely reach the top. Su Fei was full of confidence this time. He sped up his pace and climbed up. His cultivation has improved a lot, so climbing the mountain is a lot easier than before. This could be seen from its speed, which was much faster than before. Taking advantage of this opportunity, using the pressure here to consolidate his cultivation, it can be said to be killing two birds with one stone. Soon, they finally reach the top smoothly. The pressure at the top is not as big as imagined. If they fly, they will be crushed to death after just a few meters. Climbing the mountain is not the same, the pressure is not that big. According to the pressure of flying, such a high mountain is at least tens of millions of Gene. Even spirit core stage cultivators will be crushed. Perhaps only void spirit stage cultivators can barely reach the top. I'm here, I'm finally here. Su Fei cried out in surprise. It was as if he had completed a magnificent feat and successfully climbed to the top of the mountain. Congratulations, you've finally reached the entrance. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. But it's just the beginning. Are you ready? Climbing the mountain was just a process. The real danger was inside the coiling dragon cave. It was much more dangerous inside than outside. If one was not careful, they would die inside. I'm ready. Su Fei nodded. Then let's go in. Yi Tianyun took the lead and walked inside. When they first entered the cave, the pressure was slightly reduced, but overall, it was not reduced by much. At least for Su Fei, it was reduced a lot. There was nothing special inside the cave. There was only a passageway that led downwards. As he walked down the passageway, he soon saw a wide open space. In front of him was a spacious place. There were many cultivators meditating and resting here. Some of them were high and some were low. There were many core transformation stage cultivators. There were no treasures here. There were countless caves, but no one knew which one was the real entrance. Everyone was dazzled by this scene. They didn't know which cave was the real entrance. Some of the caves led forward, while others led downward. The directions were completely different. Going down was like a bottomless abyss. Not many people would choose to go down. God knows where they would fall. If they fell into the lava pit, they would be dead. So, this is the Coiling Dragon Cave. It looks just like the rumors say. There are so many caves here. I wonder if they lead to a path of life or a path of death. There are so many choices. Su Fei looked at the many passageways and he sighed. This really needed luck. If you choose the wrong path, you need strength. If you don't have strength, you can't escape. Thus, luck and strength were both crucial here, and neither could be lacking. But if you have strength, you will have great luck. Yes, the difficulty is not small. Yi Tianyun looked around. Under normal circumstances, the difficulty was not small, but for him, it was not difficult. Based on the coiling dragon diagram, they could easily reach their destination. The problem was which cave Ren Long had fallen into. That was the most important thing. Hey, isn't this Su Fei? I didn't expect to see you here. Did you escape from the marriage? Yes, I heard that in order to marry the young lady of the Qin family, he chose to escape from the marriage. But the Qin family didn't approve of him. They thought that his cultivation was too low. I didn't expect that he would come here to cultivate. He wants to marry the young lady of the Qin family? He doesn't even look at his appearance. I advise you to go back and marry that girl. Then you won't lose face. Idiot. Many cultivators here knew Su Fei. Obviously, Su Fei's family was powerful. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people who knew him. Su Fei's face turned red. He wanted to beat someone up, but he was too weak. Yingyun patted his shoulder and said indifferently, "Ignore them. Let's go down first." Yes, big brother. Su Fei clenched his teeth and suppressed the anger in his heart, not bothering to argue with them. Yo, it seems like he found a backer. Who is this kid? Big brother E? Forget it, I don't care about them. Let's continue looking for the entrance. It seems that the cave in front is the right entrance. Yes, this so-called Big Brother E is probably the same. The two of them are birds of a feather, that's why they are together. This time, Su Fei completely exploded. He pulled out his sword and said angrily, "You can talk bad about me, but you can't talk bad about Big Brother E." He was completely furious. It was one thing to talk bad about himself, but when Yi Tianyun was involved, he was furious. So what if we talk bad about him? You're quite arrogant, calling him Big Brother. Do you think he will bring you to marry the young lady of the Qin family? Well, of course not. Otherwise, why would he come to this coiling dragon cave? He would have already brought people to marry the young lady. You want to fight? Come on. Let's see if your skills have improved. They didn't care about Su Fei's anger at all. Compared to Su Fei's cultivation level, there was no way they would be afraid of him. Come on, who wants to fight me one-on-one? Su Fei was furious. He pulled out his sword and looked at them coldly. Who's first? He was not a man without a backbone. After being scolded so many times, he couldn't stand it anymore. Chapter 380. I said you're fat and you're about to piss me off? If you have guts, then I'll go first. Si Cheng looked at him contemptuously. He didn't take him seriously at all. His cultivation was not high, he was only at first-level spirit core stage, but he was a realm higher than Su Fei. Si Cheng, you go first? But Su Fei looked at him coldly and said, if you lose, you have to kowtow and apologize to Brother Yi. Kowtow and apologize, what a big tone. Si Cheng laughed and said, then what if you lose? What about it? If I lose, I'll cut off one of my arms. How about it? Su Fei placed a huge bet, making them all stare blankly for a moment. This was truly quite unyielding. Si Cheng paused and sneered, okay, since you want to cut off one of your arms, I'll fulfill your wish. As soon as he finished speaking, Si Cheng raised his sword and shot over. He brandished his long sword, transforming it into a white light that pierced through the air. It was obvious that he was taking the fastest route, and his first move was a killing move. Su Fei clenched the long sword in its scabbard and narrowed his eyes. The moment Yi Cheng rushed over, Su Fei suddenly moved. He then pulled out his long sword at Si Cheng, who was rushing towards him. In an instant, a white light shot up into the sky and slashed at Si Cheng's arm. This speed was too fast. Si Cheng didn't even have time to react before the white light cut his arm. What is this? Camouflage? Si Cheng was startled at first, but then he continued to rush forward. However, just as he was about to slash down, a poochie sound was heard, and a stream of blood shot out from his arm. The long sword that he had been holding tightly in his hand fell to the ground, and he knelt on the ground, clutching his arm as he screamed. Apologize. Su Fei pointed his long sword at Yi Cheng's head and said coldly. Many people didn't know what happened, but Si Cheng was already defeated. Yes, it's the Su family's sword light secret art. He has practiced it to the late stage and the naked eye can't see it at all. The speed is too fast. Someone immediately recognized this move. They didn't expect that Su Fei was not a mediocre person at all. He killed Si Cheng in just one move. Apologize my ass. Beat them up. How dare they hurt me? Si Cheng's face was pale and his eyes were full of hatred. Go! Without fulfilling their promise, several companions who came with Si Cheng unhesitatingly pulled out their swords and attacked. Every one of them was much stronger than Si Cheng. Most importantly, they were much more cautious this time around. They would not be as careless as Si Cheng. Su Fei's face changed. The sword light secret art he just used consumed a lot of his strength. Now several people rushed at him. How could he deal with them? It seems like some people's mouths are really cheap. If they don't stop, they'll die. Furthermore, the words that come out of his mouth are full of lies. What's the use of this mouth then? The next moment, Yi Tianyun's figure flashed. They didn't even see him. He already appeared in front of them and slapped them in the face. Pa pa pa. The few people who had spoken up earlier were sent flying before Su Fei. Many of their teeth were broken and blood flowed out from their mouths. Su Fei, if you don't like them, go teach them a lesson. I will stand here and see who dares to touch you. Yi Tianyun looked at them coldly and signaled Su Fei to slap them. He didn't want to cause trouble, but since they had such cheap mouths, they couldn't blame him. In the blink of an eye, several people were sent flying. They slid to Su Fei's side, completely dazed. This slap was not light, but it was not heavy. If it was heavy, their heads would have been smashed. This scene shocked many people. Su Fei didn't hesitate to hit them. He didn't care what power the other party was from, he just wanted to hit them. You actually dared to hit me. The few of them covered their faces and crawled up, almost unable to stand steadily. Su Fei, what are you waiting for? Slap their mouths. Yi Tianyun looked at Su Fei coldly. Su Fei hesitated for a moment, then he clenched his teeth and slapped the person who just got up. The person was sent flying again. The strength of this slap was also not light. It was as if Su Fei used all his strength to slap the person. Who told you to insult my big brothery? Who told you to look down on me? Who told you to lie? Who told you to not keep your promise? You bunch of trash. He plucked up his courage and slapped them crazily, almost knocking them out. Who knew how many of their teeth had been knocked out, but most of them felt humiliated. How could it not be humiliating to be slapped like this in front of so many people? This friend, is that enough? They are General C's people. If you continue to act like this, you will make a big mistake. A core transformation stage powerhouse walked out. His aura was much stronger than the others. Obviously, for the sake of General Yang, he wanted to help these scums. Su Fei, continue to slap them until they admit their mistake. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Yes, big brother. Su Fei continued to rush towards them and slapped them a few times. Let alone apologize, they couldn't even say half a word. Su Fei was like a madman, constantly slapping their mouths, constantly venting the anger in his heart. As a man, how could he not be angry after being insulted so many times? It should be said that he was very angry, every slap was very hard. Originally, they were beaten by Yi Tianyun to the point that they couldn't take care of themselves. Now, they were beaten by Su Fei again. Even though a core transformation stage powerhouse came to warn them, they didn't stop. Instead, they slapped even harder. You are courting death. The core transformation stage powerhouse was furious. He rushed over to stop Su Fei's attack. His hand turned into a sharp claw and wanted to grab Su Fei's head. This move was extremely ruthless. It was obvious that he wanted to crush Su Fei's head. However, someone had already rushed over at a faster speed than him. In a flash, that person appeared in front of him and slapped him across the face. He didn't even have time to react before he was slapped to the ground. Who did you tell to stop? Yi Tianyun slapped the core transformation stage powerhouse to the ground. You, slap. What did you say? Slap. What did I say? Slap. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Why didn't you say anything? Yi Tianyun slapped him several times in a row, a dignified core transformation expert. He can't even speak half a word, his face is like a pig's head. Then Yi Tianyun kicked the core transformation stage powerhouse's body, and the core transformation stage powerhouse fell to the ground. Ding. Successfully killed Lu Tian. Reward, 34,000 EXP, 3,400 Crazy Point, 150 SBS, Martial Art Phantom Claw. Reward, Iron Eagle Claw, Iron Dragon Fur, 10,000 EXP Pill. Chapter 381. A core transformation stage cultivator was slapped to death just like that. The other core transformation stage cultivators who wanted to help Si Tian felt as if their feet were nailed to the ground. They couldn't move even half a step. They looked at the corpse and swallowed hard. How could they dare to continue forward? Their faces hurt just by looking at it. After a few consecutive slaps, Lu Tian was beaten to the point of vomiting blood. In the end, he was kicked to death. With a little spiritual sense, Yi Tianyun knew that Lu Tian was dead. There was no breath left. Who else has any opinion? Please come forward. I don't mind slapping you a few more times. Yi Tianyun glanced at the people around him. With just a glance, everyone was scared and took a step back. Immediately, no one dared to stand up for Si Cheng. They all looked at each other in dismay, not even daring to say half a word, afraid that they would be slapped. Brother Yi, I'm almost done. Su Fei came to Yi Tianyun's side and took a few breaths. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw that Si Cheng and the others were beaten into a pig's head, and it seems that they were really disfigured. This Su Fei was really ruthless. But no matter how ruthless he was, he couldn't be more ruthless than killing them. He looked miserable, but after a short rest, he would be able to return to his original state. Si Cheng was General Si's son. Yi Tianyun didn't know who this General Si was, but he knew that his status was not simple. Of course, this had nothing to do with him. If he wanted to kill them, he would kill them. But Su Fei was different. He didn't dare to do anything else. That's enough. Let's go this way. After saying that, Yi Tianyun led them to one of the caves and jumped down. Su Fei didn't hesitate and also jumped down. After they left, other people surrounded Si Cheng and the others and fed them medicinal pills. These people were General Si's people. If they saved their lives, they would all be credited. How could they miss it? Su family is finished. I don't know what kind of ruthless person Su Fei met. He dared to attack General Si. Nonsense. Do you think the Su family is worse than the Si family? If the Su family is really strong, the Si family won't dare to provoke them. But this Su Fei is probably going to be crippled by the clan. His talent wasn't good to begin with. It's possible that he'll be crippled. No matter what, that Yi fellow who's with Su Fei killed an elder of the Lu clan. I'm afraid the Lu clan won't let him off. One by one, they were discussing loudly. They were no longer as silent as before. After all, they only dared to speak after Yi Tianyun and the others had left. To be able to kill a core transformation stage cultivator so easily, it could be guessed that this person's cultivation was at least at the 8th or 9th layer. Who would dare to provoke such a terrifying existence? At most, they would curse a few times in their hearts and wait for the other families to join hands to deal with them. Yi Tianyun was too lazy to pay attention to the discussion of the upper echelons. He wasn't afraid of the Netherworld Empire, so he didn't need to pay attention to these small families. Those who provoked him shouldn't blame him for being impolite. At the same time, they quickly fell from the hole. It was like a bottomless pit under their feet, and they kept falling. When they were about to fall to the bottom, Yi Tianyun suddenly stopped in midair. Su Fei quickly fell to the same level as Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun quickly grabbed Su Fei's shoulder and flew down with him, but their speed was getting slower and slower. Soon, they descended from the entrance of the cave and saw an empty space. Under his lead, they slowly descended from the sky and finally stood firmly on the ground. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw that there was nothing wrong with this place. Brother Yi, you just killed an elder of the Lu clan. The Lu clan will not let you off. Su Fei said in her ashamed tone. It's all my fault, I'm the one who implicated you. Elder of the Lu clan? By the way, which force do they belong to? Yi Tianyun asked. Force? Are they on the side of the princess or the side of Prime Minister Long? Su Fei thought for a moment and said, if that's the case, they are basically on the side of Prime Minister Long, then we didn't kill the wrong people. Yi Tianyun glanced around and saw nothing but a pile of stones. Follow me, don't fall behind. There was a passage in front of them that led to the outside, and there didn't seem to be anything wrong. Yi Tianyun immediately lifted his foot and walked out. Su Fei followed closely behind, constantly looking around. Before, he wanted to ask what "didn't kill the wrong people" meant, but in the end, he didn't ask that question. They had only taken a few steps when they passed by a huge boulder. Suddenly, the huge boulder started to move, and with a violent bounce, it came crashing towards them. If you look carefully, you will find that this is not a moving rock, but a rockworm. This rockworm's whole body was covered with thick rocks, and when it curled up on the ground, it really looked like a huge rock, making people think that it was a rock. When they got close, it suddenly pounced on them, opened its huge mouth and bit down, trying to swallow them whole. This is too sudden. Su Fei just reacted, and the giant mouth was already on top of their heads. Get out of here! Yi Tianyun didn't know how long it took, but he suddenly slashed the giant rockworm in the sky. The sharp sword light soared to the sky, and the huge rockworm was cut in half. Green blood splashed around. Not a single drop of blood fell on their bodies. They were all blocked by Yi Tianyun's spiritual power. The ground that was stained by the blood made a sizzling sound and quickly corroded. The hard rock turned into a pile of foam in less than a moment. The blood is really scary. Ding successfully killed rockworm, gaining 30,000 EXP, 3,000 crazy point, 50 SBS. Obtained items. Hard rock, Venom of Rockworm. Su Fei's hair stood on end. If it wasn't for Tianyun leading the team, he would have already been eaten. This rockworm's cultivation isn't high, it's only at 6th level spirit core, but it's enough to crush Su Fei. The key is that it's hard, simple attacks can't break its defense. But it just happened to meet Tianyun, and he split it in half with one sword strike. It seems that as long as I have core transformation stage cultivation, the journey will be safer. From the current point of view, 5th or 6th level of spirit core realm is indeed the foundation to enter. If the cultivation is too low, it's impossible to deal with the demon beasts here. Su Fei is now comparable to a void spirit stage expert. It's equivalent to entering a low-level area to kill monsters. Originally, this is a treasure map, but he was in a hurry at that time, so he didn't have time to finish it. But to be on the safe side, it's a good thing to have a high cultivation. Let's continue. Tianyun continued to walk forward with the giant sword in his hand. These rockworms are good materials, you can take them back and sell them. Thank you, big brother. Su Fei excitedly put the corpse into his storage ring. As long as it's a demon beast's body, the price is not bad. Chapter 382. There were a lot of rocks along the way, some were rockworms and some weren't. It was hard to tell whether they were real or fake. For a normal cultivator, Tianyun could see it at a glance with his appraisal eyes, but he didn't bother to pay attention to it. If it attacked him, he could easily split it in half with his sword. Su Fei kept collecting corpses behind him. He was quite excited because it was money for him. The rockworm could be used to refine elixirs or forge weapons. None of these were a problem. If he sold them, the price would be at least a few thousand spirit stones, which was more profitable than being a guide. However, it was too dangerous. If it wasn't for Tianyun leading the team, he really wouldn't dare to come in. In such a dangerous place, even if there were many treasures, he didn't dare to take them. Big brother I can feel that the rocks over there are dangerous. It's very likely to be rockworms. Su Fei didn't want to be of no help, so he hurriedly reminded Tianyun. Sure enough, when they walked over, the rock jumped at them and was cut in half by Tianyun. Not bad, your perception is quite strong. Tianyun smiled. Although he didn't need these, he had to admit that Su Fei's perception was really good, which made him a little more powerful. He had taken a fancy to Su Fei before, but he didn't know his background. Now it seemed that with his background, it wouldn't be difficult to take him away. He was loyal and loyal. In terms of ability, there was no need to say anything. His talent might be lacking, but his ability to perceive danger in advance was quite valuable. Now that Heavenly Cloud's mansion needed a lot of strength, the more experts the better. This kind of talent was relatively rare, so it would be great if he could rope them in. However, Tianyun didn't open his mouth to invite Su Fei. He had to wait until the end. The appraisal eyes could see a lot of things, but it couldn't see a person's heart. Favorability could be used as a judgment, but it could change at will, so it was hard to say. You flatter me, I only have this advantage. Su Fei scratched his head embarrassedly. After that, they arrived at the passageway without much difficulty and continued to move forward. This time, there was no more danger. The entire journey was safe and sound. After passing through the passageway, they saw 4 large doors, each of which was different in size. From left to back, it got smaller and smaller, and was marked with a line of words. Human grade, Earth grade, Heaven grade. Without a doubt, there were 3 levels of difficulty, with Heaven being the highest. However, there was one door that was the smallest. It was only big enough for one person to enter, and there was no sign on it. However, one could vaguely feel a dangerous aura coming from it, and it was quite dangerous. The other 3 doors were not simple either. The Heaven grade one was already strong enough, but the one without a mark was even stronger. The biggest difference was that the other 3 doors were large enough to accommodate a huge dragon. Only the small and exquisite door was not on the same level. There were many cultivators here. The path that Tianyun chose was one of the correct paths. There were many correct paths among the densely packed paths. After exploring for so long, there were more or less people who knew the correct path. For those who came here for the first time, it was very difficult. However, the path that Yi Tianyun chose was the closest one. There was no need to run too far. Some of them would have to go around several times. There are a total of 4 levels of difficulty. Yi Tianyun looked around and had a rough idea. That's right. I heard that there are a total of 4 levels of difficulty. Different levels of difficulty correspond to different rewards. The most difficult one is the door that is just big enough for one person to enter. I heard that no one has ever come out after entering it, Su Fei explained. Before coming here, Yi Tianyun had learned about this place. He knew the general content. The coiling dragon treasure map marked the path of the maze. This was only one of the routes. The real route was inside. Are you going in? Yi Tianyun asked. Of course I'm going in. Su Fei licked his lips. I'm already here. If I don't try it, wouldn't it be a waste? If you want to become stronger, you have to take risks and look for opportunities. Otherwise, it would be too difficult to improve by leaps and bounds. Then which door will you choose? Yi Tianyun asked. Earth grade. I feel that Earth grade is my limit. I don't dare to think about Heaven grade. Su Fei knew his position, so he didn't dare to choose too high a level. If he chose the wrong one, he would die. Earth grade? Not bad. Yi Tianyun nodded. He thought that Su Fei would enter Earth grade. If it was too high, it would be much more dangerous. What about Big Brother? Which door will you choose? Su Fei asked. When Yi Tianyun was about to answer, a disharmonious voice came from the side. Isn't this Su Fei? I didn't expect you to be able to enter here. You are really lucky. A handsome young man came in front of them and looked them up and down. Wang Menglong. Su Fei said in a low voice. Don't be so nervous, I'm not interested in you. Wang Menglong said and looked at the 4 doors with admiration in his eyes. At the side, there was a peerlessly beautiful woman who stood in the middle and stared at the 4 doors. Her beautiful eyes were closed as she sensed. This absolute beauty attracted the gazes of many people, and their eyes were filled with adoration and admiration. Yi Tianyun looked up and down at the beautiful woman. Her cultivation is not weak, 9th level spirit core stage, which is considered as a monster in this place. Apart from this beautiful woman, Wang Menglong's cultivation was the highest, 7th level spirit core stage. Of course, there were also core transformation stage cultivators who had higher cultivation than them, but it was all about age and talent. Those core transformation stage powerhouses were just guards who protected them when they came in. In terms of talent, they were far inferior to them. Core transformation stage was very strong, but for these 2 young geniuses in front of them, core transformation stage was not the end, but they had already reached the end. I didn't expect that Hua Xiang would also come. Su Fei looked at the absolute beauty and sighed a few times, as expected of the heavenly daughter second only to the princess. You have such a cultivation at such a young age, did you come here to temper yourself? But it is possible that she is here to help the princess find the great Emperor Ren. Hua Xiang is on the princess side. Yi Tianyun just glanced at her casually and didn't care about what she said. He turned his attention back to the 4 doors. According to legend, the higher the difficulty, the better the reward. As for what the reward was, it was random. In short, of the 4 gates, other than the one with an unknown difficulty, all the others had been successfully passed. It was very difficult to pass the heaven difficulty, let alone the unknown difficulty. Interesting, no one has passed. Chapter 383. After Yi Tianyun made up his mind, he knew which gate he would choose. Let's go in. Yi Tianyun lifted his foot and walked forward. Su Fei nodded his head. What they do has nothing to do with him, he just needs to do his own thing. Su Fei came to the earth level gate. After Wang Menglong saw him, he sneered. Sure enough, choose the earth level. With your level, you can only choose the earth level. Wang Menglong walked to the heaven level gate and looked at Su Fei with provocative eyes. He even looked at Hua Xiang from the corner of his eyes. He wanted to see something from her face. But unfortunately, Hua Xiang didn't have any expression. Her expression was very indifferent. She was indifferent to Wang Menglong's choice. The heaven level difficulty is quite high. If you are not careful, you will die inside. Wang Menglong wanted to let Hua Xieying know his strength. Who knew that Hua Xieying didn't care at all? I choose the heaven-level difficulty. This is not difficult for me. Wang Menglong's voice rose a bit and looked at Su Fei. Only people with excellent talent dare to choose the heaven-level difficulty. Those with average talent can only choose the earth-level difficulty. Su Fei clenched his fists, but he didn't refute anything. He won't be provoked to lose his mind and choose the heaven-level difficulty. If he really chose this way, it is very likely that he will die in a fit of anger. Calm down, calm down. I don't know which difficulty Big Brother Yi will choose. When he turned his head to look at Yi Tianyun's figure, he didn't know when Yi Tianyun had walked to the highest difficulty level, which is the smallest door. All of a sudden, his choice attracted everyone's attention. Most people were dumbfounded by his choice. No one will choose the smallest door. If they enter, they will die. Who would dare to choose the smallest door? Unless their head was kicked by a donkey, no one will choose the smallest door. There are many records in history. There are high and low levels of cultivation. Those who entered never came out. The strongest is void spirit stage, and the lowest is spirit refinement stage. No one has ever come out. It can be said that it is a checkmate, which makes many people flinch. The heaven-level difficulty is not low. Those who came out said that the difficulty is not low, but at least it is bearable. No one had ever come out of the door of unknown difficulty, so no one knew what was going on inside. What makes people afraid is not the strength standing in front of them, but the unknown strength. Su Fei, is this your companion? His head was kicked by a donkey. If he has the guts, why don't you try it? After Wang Menglong reacted, he laughed, thinking that Yi Tianyun's choice was so ridiculous. Yes, someone chose the smallest door. Tianyun, maybe he chose to do this to attract Hua Xieying's attention. It's possible. Look, even Hua Xieying has seen it. She really did it. Tianyun said. His Tianyun in Fei, and is Fei with his mind. Unless one really went in, anyone would dare to stand outside. That was nothing. Brother Yi, don't tell me you want to choose that door. Su Fei hurriedly persuaded. That door is the most difficult. Those who have entered have never come out. Boy, if you have the guts, go in and let me see your guts. Just standing outside is nothing. If you have the guts, why don't you go in and try? Wang Menglong fanned the flames on the side, mocking Yi Tianyun for just standing outside and not going in. Yi Tianyun ignored Wang Menglong and said to Su Fei, you wait for me over there, I may be a little slower here. After speaking, Yi Tianyun lifted his foot and walked inside, then quickly disappeared in front of the light door, which shocked everyone. Including Hua Xieying, she was shocked by this scene. He really went in without a care for his life. Su Fei, your friend is really brave. He said he would go in and he really went in. He even asked you to wait for him over there. I'm afraid that even if you wait for a lifetime, he won't come out. Wang Menglong laughed, his eyes were full of ridicule. Birds of a feather flock together. He is just like you, overestimating himself. Qin family's eldest daughter is not someone a nobody like you can touch. I advise you to go back and be a good third young master. After speaking, Wang Menglong looked at Hua Xieying, lifted his foot and walked into the heaven-level door, not staying for long. Su Fei's face sank, he clenched his teeth and said, Brother Yi will come out. If he can't come out, I will keep waiting over there. Immediately, Su Fei did not hesitate, lifted his foot and walked into the earth-level door, disappearing into the light door. Miss, the boy who came with Su Fei is really reckless. He chose to enter the unknown door. It's obvious that he doesn't know much about it, that's why he dared to do so. I think he wants to attract the attention of Miss. Later, he was provoked and for the sake of face, he tried it. The two maids next to Hua Xieying were discussing, making Yi Tianyun look so bad. Alright, what others choose is their business, it has nothing to do with us. Now, I want to help the princess find the next great emperor, and at the same time train here, Hua Xieying said indifferently, you two go to the earth-level door, I will go to the heaven-level door. After speaking, she ignored the surrounding gazes, lifted her foot, and walked into the light door. The rest of the cultivators who stayed here looked at each other. Most of them expressed impulsiveness towards Yi Tianyun's choice, but no one felt pity for him. If he died, who could he blame? At the same time, after Yi Tianyun stepped into the light door, he saw a blue stone road that extended to the end. It was pitch black all around, and he could not see anything. With a glance, Yi Tianyun knew that there was a special space next to him. As long as he deviated from this bluestone road, he would fall into the void, and it was unclear whether he would live or die. In the Coiling Dragon treasure map, there were not many records about this place. It only stated that he must take this road, otherwise he would not be able to reach the end of the Coiling Dragon treasure map. A perfect line was drawn, leading straight to the end. As for what exactly was there, it was not clear. Therefore, he chose this road not because he felt that it was challenging, but because the Coiling Dragon treasure map made him choose this road, otherwise he would not be able to reach the end. It was that simple. Chapter 384. Yi Tianyun released his perception to the maximum. Although his cultivation wasn't low, he had to be careful. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. No matter what, he couldn't let his guard down. It was very likely that he would die the moment he let his guard down. He walked forward step by step. He could clearly feel the stones under his feet. They were pressing against his feet, proving that he wasn't walking on empty space. These stones weren't treasures. They were just things that could be found everywhere outside. As he walked forward, he soon reached the end. There was no path in front of him. There was only empty space. There was nothing there. He used the appraisal eye to look around. The only thing that appeared in front of him was empty space. There was no other path to take. Is there no other path to take? Yi Tianyun frowned. He took out a weapon from his inventory and threw it forward. The weapon fell in a straight line and disappeared from his sight. There was no path in front of him. There wasn't a single path. He didn't think that a path would appear if he took a step forward. This shouldn't be for them to train their courage. Those who were brave could walk through it. Instead, if they really took a step forward, they would fall and never get up again. It was useless to fly here. Yi Tianyun felt that he was being suppressed by a force. It was impossible for him to fly. Strange. Yi Tianyun turned his head and looked behind him. There was no door to go back. It was completely blocked. This meant that he could only go forward. There was no use going back. He could only walk on this bluestone path. Bluestone path. Could it be? Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He quickly went to the bluestone path that he came from. He bent down and picked up the bluestone. It was really easy to pick it up. However, after he picked it up, the area he picked up turned into nothingness. Then, he took the green stone and went to the front and laid it on the ground. It was really laid on the ground steadily. Then, he stepped forward and stood firmly on the ground. He didn't fall down. So that's how it is. It really isn't difficult at all. If I thought that a path would appear just by taking a step forward, I would really be a fool. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He immediately picked up the green stones behind him and continued to pave the road. Little by little, he walked forward. There were no shortcuts to speak of. He just had to pave the path bit by bit. The faster he picked up the stones, the faster he could pave the path. This was like training a person's temperament, making him repeat it bit by bit. It was dull and tedious. However, that was all he could do now. As he slowly moved forward, he finally saw a flashing door in front of him. Looks like I'm finally reaching my destination. He took a deep breath and continued to move forward at a faster pace. Soon, he arrived at the door of light in front of him. He lifted his foot and walked inside, disappearing into the void. After he passed through the door of light, a wide space appeared in front of him. The ground was made of stones, and it looked quite spacious, with no end in sight. What's going on here? When he looked around, a figure suddenly flashed in front of him. It was a handsome young man. He was burly and wore dragon scale armor. He looked quite domineering. "Human, welcome." The man smiled and said, "It's been a long time since someone successfully walked through the bluestone path." What they lacked was that patience. In the end, they missed a step and fell into the endless abyss, never to get up again. Hearing the word human, Yi Tianyun immediately knew that this man wasn't human. It seemed that he was an expert of the dragon race. All this time, no one has been able to pass through here? Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes and asked. Of course someone has been able to pass through here. However, that was so many years ago that I don't really remember. So far, only 2 people have succeeded. I wonder if you can be the third? The burly man smiled. Only 2 people have passed? Yi Tianyun wasn't surprised. It was said that no one had passed the test, but that was only on the surface. Some people who had passed the test didn't even know about it, so the rumors outside couldn't be trusted. However, the difficulty of this test was certain. Only 2 people had successfully passed the test, which proved how difficult it was. Come on, defeat me, and I will let you pass this test and get the glory that belongs to you. The burly man laughed. As soon as he finished speaking, the burly man released a tyrannical dragon might. A phantom image of a dragon appeared behind him and pressed towards them. Mysterious man, phantom, immortal body. Cultivation, level 8 of core transformation stage. His body contains terrifying dragon power. He can transform into a dragon at any time. Wearing a high-grade sacred armor. Combat power, 12 million. Weakness, none. Martial skill, unknown. Drop, unknown. This mysterious man wasn't a living person. Just like old Xian, he was completely an illusion. However, his cultivation was really terrifying. He turned out to be at level 8 of core transformation stage, which was exactly the same level as him. Don't worry, my cultivation is the same as yours. My cultivation is as strong as yours. Every passage here was adjusted according to one's cultivation, so there wouldn't be a situation where one was too strong. However, if one chose a more difficult passage, his performance would also be heaven-defying if his cultivation was at the same level. Defeat you? Bring it on. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. He quickly took out a divine ice bow, aimed at the burly man, and pulled the bowstring. His eyes were instantly covered with blue light. Frost's wrath. Swish. In an instant, the thick and sharp arrows gathered and pierced towards him. Wherever they passed, a large area was frozen, and the stone slabs on the ground were covered with a thick layer of ice. After seeing this, the burly man laughed, and dense dragon scales immediately appeared on his body. His ordinary palms turned into dragon claws, which were sharp and hard, which were equivalent to a sacred weapon. In the appraisal eyes, the data that appeared proved this point. Dragon claw of destruction, comparable to a high-grade sacred weapon. After transforming into a dragon claw, the burly man slapped forward fiercely. 5 sharp lights grabbed out from the dragon claw and slashed towards the Frost's wrath. Boom! The 2 energies collided with each other, causing a violent explosion. The whole frost arrow exploded, and the cold air that was enough to freeze everything swept over and wrapped him in it. After a while, the burly man walked out of the cold air. A large area of his body was frozen. As he walked, he shook off the frozen ice on his body. Chapter 385. Yuan Qinglong was his name. After telling him his name, it was equivalent to giving him the greatest respect, which meant that he was qualified to fight with him. If he was not even qualified to fight with him, he would not tell him his name because he was going to die soon. There was no point in saying it, and he would not remember it. After reporting his name, Yuan Qinglong threw his head back and laughed loudly. He waved his claws and charged over, shattering the ice shards on his body. He was completely fine. After exhaling 2 mouthfuls of cold air, he stomped on the ground with a dong sound, shattering the floor tiles into pieces. The moment he pounced, it was as if he had really turned into an azure dragon, fiercely pouncing over at a very fast speed. However, this speed was still a little slower than General Feng. Yuan Qinglong's cultivation was locked at the 8th level of the core transformation stage, so it was normal for him to be slower. Yi Tianyun instantly put on the red dragon suit, and with the red dragon divine spear, his strength suddenly increased. Even General Feng was beaten to death by him, so it was undoubtedly easier for those who were much weaker than General Feng. Tyrant soul. Tian Yun fiercely pounced on Yuan Qinglong, but he didn't trigger the active effect, and then two red dragons roared out and bit Yuan Qinglong. Tian Yun's combat power directly stacked to more than 30 million. After his cultivation increased, the stacked power was quite terrifying. This time, he did not completely erupt, but his combat power was already more than 30 million, close to 40 million. This time, he did not use the crazy mode. Facing an expert of the same cultivation level, he did not intend to use the crazy mode. He wanted to use all his current strength to defeat the opponent. What a strong power! Yuan Qinglong's eyes narrowed, but it was too late for him to dodge. He could only wave the dragon claws in his hand and pinch. Dragon scales instantly covered his whole body, but he did not use any moves. He simply pinched in this direction. Boom! Yuan Qinglong's whole body was blown away. After sliding back a long distance, he barely stopped. Many of the dragon scales on his hands were blown away, and even half of the dragon scales on his body were blown away. However, there was not a drop of blood on his body. He did not have a real body, so he would not be injured at all. Interesting. It's enough for me to use my full strength. In the next moment, Yuan Qinglong's body emitted a green light and instantly turned into a huge green dragon that was more than 30 meters long. It roared as it charged over. Regardless of whether it was his strength or speed, both had been greatly enhanced. He had completely unleashed his latent power. His battle power suddenly soared from more than 10 million to more than 40 million. As expected, this was his true power, the true power of the Azure Dragon. Just this power alone is enough for him to fight many levels higher than him. At the very least, he can fight against a first or second level Void Spirit stage cultivator. It was no wonder that no one had been able to pass through this place. Unless they had astonishing power like Yuan Qinglong, there was no way they could contend against him. Under normal circumstances, being able to skip 1 or 2 levels was already pretty good. Given Yuan Qinglong's power, he could even skip levels to contend with experts of a major realm. If a Void Spirit stage powerhouse were to come here, they would be able to contend against him with Void Spirit stage strength, and they would be much stronger than their corresponding cultivation base. How were they supposed to play? But now that he was up against Tian Yun, things were different. Is this all you've got? Tian Yun looked at Yuan Qinglong, who was pouncing at him, and said with a smile, "Then I'll use a little bit of my strength to compete with you." Dragon God Bloodline, activate. After activating the 4th grade Dragon God Bloodline, dragon scales appeared all over his body and covered his body with a thick layer of dragon scales. His strength had increased significantly. Different grades of Dragon God Bloodline represented different levels of power. Now that he had activated the Dragon God Bloodline, his strength had increased by 8 times. Boom! His battle power soared to 46 million, and a phantom of the Dragon God appeared behind him. It was as if the Dragon God had been reborn, causing many dragons to bow their heads in submission. Yuan Qinglong revealed a horrified look, but his attack did not stop. It was their duty to test the challengers here. No matter who the other party was, they must completely defeat him. Dragon God Tyrannical Soul. Tian Yun clenched the red dragon divine spear in his hand. He did not play any tricks. He just clashed head-on with his opponent to see who was stronger and more valiant. At the same cultivation level, he did not think that he could lose to anyone, including Yuan Qinglong, who was in front of him, unless he was in crazy mode. 2 huge red dragons pierced out of the spear, and the phantom behind him also pounced forward, colliding with Yuan Qinglong's huge dragon claws. Boom! Yuan Qinglong was sent flying by the spear. His dragon claws were almost penetrated, and even a hole appeared on his body. The tyrannical spear was really amazing. Tian Yun did not stop attacking. He continued to step forward and chased after Yuan Qinglong again. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with Yuan Qinglong, who was flying backward. He raised the spear in his hand and smashed it at Yuan Qinglong, who was flying backward. Bang! Yuan Qinglong was smashed to the ground by this ferocious attack. It was unknown how many floor tiles were smashed, but a large area was smashed by Yuan Qinglong's huge body. At the same time, waves of air were set off, sweeping out in all directions. The place where Yuan Qinglong was smashed caved in. The power of this spear was not weak, and it was completely using violence to counter violence. The strength of the Dragon Clan had always been very strong, but when faced with Yi Tianyun's violence, it was still lacking. After improving in all aspects, he could completely crush Yuan Qinglong. Immediately, Yi Tianyun landed on Yuan Qinglong's body. He stretched out his hand and placed it on Yuan Qinglong's body. He suddenly activated the Dark North Divine Technique and Absorbing Stars Great Technique, frantically devouring the spiritual power in Yuan Qinglong's body. 10,000 experience points, 13,000 experience points, 12,000 experience points. Although it was not a physical body, it could still be absorbed as experience points. He had not done this for a long time. The enemies he faced were too strong, so he could only kill them quickly. He did not dare to hold back. If he were to counterattack, he would be the one to die. He only dared to do this when the other party was being crushed or was at a similar level. Otherwise, it would be really terrible. If he were to counterattack halfway through, he would not even have half a life left. Change to the Evil Dragon set. In an instant, the Red Dragon set on his body was replaced by the Evil Dragon set. He also activated the terrifying devouring power. His hand turned into a black hole, sucking the power into his body and turning it into more experience points. 34,000 experience points, 35,000 experience points, 34,700 experience points. Chapter 386. Under the terrifying suction force, the spiritual power was quickly extracted and turned into a lot of experience that surged into his body. It was a lot of experience, but overall, it was still too little. Unless he activated crazy mode, the experience required to level up was not even on the same level. Of course, Yi Tianyun was not doing it for experience. He simply wanted to extract the spiritual power. This was the only way to fight against the immortal body. By greatly reducing the spiritual power, he would become weak. However, he did not absorb for long. Yuan Qinglong's figure turned into light spots and disappeared. Then he solidified at the side. He was no different from before, and there were no injuries on his body at all. The immortal body was against the rules. He could recover immediately and be completely fine. In their current state, as long as there was enough spiritual power here, they would be able to recover quickly. Unless the array here was destroyed, it was almost impossible for them to die. If they were destroyed, they could gather again. If they were destroyed and could not gather again, then the test here was as good as useless. In the future, there would be no opponents for the trial takers to speak of. Congratulations, you have successfully passed the test. Yuan Qinglong's eyes were filled with shock. I really did not expect you to be so strong. You are even stronger than me. The two cultivators who passed before did not crush me like you did. They only managed to pass by trickery, but you directly suppressed me with your strength. The difference is not small. Hearing that he had successfully passed, Yi Tianyun smiled. Fortunately, he had passed. If he had continued killing, who knew how long he would have to kill him? The situation here was rather special. With his strength, he could not easily break the array here. Therefore, if he had to completely kill Yuan Qinglong to be considered to have passed, it would be too difficult. Have I already passed? I thought I would have to continue. Yi Tianyun laughed. When you can defeat me, you have already passed. Although I have an immortal body, I also have my own judgment. Those few moves of yours were enough to kill me. If not for my immortal body, I would have been killed by you long ago. Yuan Qinglong laughed. What he said was true. Even if the real Qinglong was in front of him, he would have been smashed. Senior, why is this place different? There are a total of 4 doors here. Only this one doesn't have any difficulty. It's smaller than the other 3. Yi Tianyun was puzzled. I'm sorry, I can't answer you. This is not my duty. My duty is only to be in charge of the test. I can't answer anything else. Yuan Qinglong stood to the side. A stone path suddenly appeared in the boundless space in front of him. There was a door of light right in front of him. You have passed the test now. You can leave this place and claim your share of glory. Yi Tianyun had already expected that Yuan Qinglong would not be able to answer his question. Some people could answer because they had more memories, but the Yuan Qinglong in front of him had fewer memories and would not have any learning ability. That was why they wouldn't become stronger, forever remaining in this form. Memories could be accumulated, but if they weren't given, they wouldn't know, let alone be able to answer any questions. Yi Tianyun nodded and did not continue to ask. There was no point in continuing to ask. Then he lifted his foot and walked forward, towards the exit. He did not know what the so-called glory was. On the other side of the door, someone had already successfully passed. Phew, I'm finally out. The earth difficulty is already so difficult. I wonder how difficult the heaven difficulty is. I wonder what the difficulty of that door is like? Su Fei panted a few times. There were several deep wounds on his body. He looked quite miserable. It was obvious that he had just gone through an intense battle. However, it seemed that at least he had passed and did not die inside. Not long after he came out to rest, a figure quickly walked out of the heaven gate. It was Hua Xiang. Her face was very pale, and there was not a single trace of blood in it. She did not seem to have any injuries on her body. However, she had either suffered internal injuries or had used up a lot of energy. Her complexion was much worse than before. Her speed was quite fast. The time she took to pass the heaven difficulty was even faster than Wang Menglong, who had entered first. She was even faster than Su Fei. Su Fei had only passed the earth difficulty, but he had exhausted himself to come out. As for her, she had passed the heaven difficulty. The difficulty was not ordinary. As expected of a super genius. The speed at which she passed was too fast. Su Fei sat in meditation to recover. Hua Xiang, who was beside him, also sat in meditation to recover. As long as one passed the test, they would have to meditate to recover. The amount of energy consumption was obvious. After a while, Wang Menglong rushed out. His body was full of injuries. He looked even more miserable. A lot of blood flowed from his feet to the ground. Every step he took left a footprint. However, at least he had come out. When he saw Hua Xiang, who was meditating in front of him, he was stunned. He had entered earlier than Hua Xiang, but he did not expect Hua Xiang to be faster than him. This was embarrassing. Moreover, his body was full of injuries. He looked quite miserable. Wang Menglong did not say anything. He went to the side and meditated to recover. No one would laugh at him. To be able to pass the heaven grade trials meant that he was already a victor. Who would still go and mock him? While he was recovering, there were people who had passed the earth and human difficulty trials one after another. Some of them could not come out anymore. Miss Little Yuan. The female guard beside Hua Xiang bit her lips. Her eyes were red. Her companions had not come out after such a long time. There was only one possibility, and that was that they had died inside. This could be determined by time. Many people came out at this time. Their injuries were almost healed, but they still did not come out. There was only one possibility, and that was that they were dead. Sai, with her strength, she should not have been unable to pass. She might have been careless. Hua Xiang sighed deeply. This kind of thing was not rare. Those who came here to challenge the trial had to be prepared to die. Either they passed or they died. There was no other choice. In such a cruel place, there were still many people who came to the Coiling Dragon Cave. They wanted to obtain more treasures and improve their cultivation. It was impossible to become stronger without taking risks. When many people had recovered and were ready to move forward, Su Fei sat in front of the unknown door, waiting for Yi Tianyun to appear. Idiot, he will never appear again. The heaven difficulty is already so difficult. It is impossible to pass. Wang Menglong mocked. After experiencing it, they knew how terrifying the difficulty was. They did not dare to touch the last door. Su Fei didn't say anything. He just sat there and stared at the door. He said that he would wait, so he would wait here. An idiot is an idiot. Then wait here until you die. We will leave first. Wang Menglong sneered and was ready to leave. Hua Xiang shook her head. She did not feel the slightest bit of pity. You can't blame others for seeking death. Chapter 387. Just as many people were about to leave, the sound of the smallest door opening attracted everyone's attention. After the small door opened, a familiar figure slowly walked out. When everyone saw the figure's true appearance, they were all shocked. The person who came out was none other than Yi Tianyun, who was previously thought to be dead. He walked out of the most mysterious door just like that. He looked completely unscathed, as if he had casually walked out from a passageway. Everyone was dumbfounded. The door that was known as a dead end was actually opened by Yi Tianyun, making them unable to believe it. Hua Xieying's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Her eyes were fixed on Yi Tianyun's figure for a long time. She wasn't the only one. Everyone else was deeply shocked as well. The passageway of certain death had been passed just like that. Was this real, or was it just an illusion? Big brother Yi. Su Fei jumped up from the ground, ran to Yi Tianyun excitedly and said, "I knew Big brother Yi would definitely come out. They didn't believe that you could come out. I think you can definitely come out." Su Fei was so excited that he almost hugged him. "Really? What do they think have to do with me?" Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently, looked around. Many people who went in before had successfully come out. Their speed was much faster than him. He didn't know how difficult the other passages were. At least he spent a lot of time to pave the road with blue stones, so it was normal that he was slower than them. Most of the others should be fighting directly, so they would save a lot of steps, but he still needed to pave the road slowly. How could he not be slow? This is impossible. No one can pass this road. How could he pass? After Wang Menglong recovered, he pointed at Yi Tianyun and shouted, "That's right, what's going on? Didn't they say that he would definitely die? How could he pass? Was it all a rumor before?" "It's very likely to be a rumor. This kid is with Su Fei. What can he do? Maybe this passage is really a rumor. In fact, it is not very dangerous. So, we missed a chance." Many of the cultivators who passed were regretful, feeling that it was a pity that they didn't choose this dangerous road. Hua Xieying also couldn't believe it, suspecting that there was something wrong with this road. Was it because of the rumors? In fact, it was just an ordinary road. After all, from Yi Tianyun's body, they couldn't see the aura of an expert. "What's the noise? If you think there's a problem, you can go try." Su Fei waved his hand, signaling them to go try. As soon as he finished speaking, many people obediently shut their mouths. That was what they had said earlier, but they really didn't dare to test it out. If it was really difficult, wouldn't they be courting death? Try? We will definitely try, but it's impossible now. Everyone only has one chance. How do you want us to try? Wang Menglong snorted coldly. This trial could only be attempted once. If you tried a second time, you wouldn't be able to enter. Thus, success or failure depended on this. Of course, if they failed, they would die inside. If they succeeded, they would only be rewarded according to their previous choices. After they became stronger, they would not be able to enter the trial again. "Don't talk to them, let's go in." Yi Tianyun waved his hand, signaling him not to argue with these people. There was no point in arguing. "Yes, big brother Yi." Su Fei nodded. He was too lazy to pay attention to others. Yi Tianyun lifted his foot and walked forward, ignoring everyone else. When Hua Xieying looked at him, Yi Tianyun just glanced at her, then he didn't look at her and continued to walk forward. In front of him was a huge dragon mouth. There was a passage leading to it, but he didn't know where it led to. "This kid is quite arrogant." Wang Menglong coldly snorted, "I want to see what benefits can be obtained by going through there." As he spoke, he followed. Hua Xieying and the others also followed. They originally planned to go in. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyun's appearance, they probably would have gone in to explore. After stepping into this dragon mouth, they saw a spacious road from the outside. Walking along this road, there were no traps along the way. It was quite safe along the way. There were no decorations, only hard walls on the side. There was really nothing else. When they walked for a while, 2 more passages suddenly appeared on the side, but Yi Tianyun ignored these 2 passages and continued to walk forward. When Su Fei was about to say something, he saw that Yi Tianyun continued to walk forward, so he followed and continued to walk forward. When they crossed an area, the top shook as if they passed through a layer of light curtain. Wang Menglong and the others glanced at the surrounding passages. frowned, but still followed and continued to walk forward. Under normal circumstances, the good things would be inside, not outside. When they all passed through, a few people seemed to hit the wall and were fiercely bounced back. What's the situation we can't go through? Those people leaned over again, but it was like they were stuck to a transparent wall. They couldn't go through at all. This time, many people were stunned, thinking carefully. Only then did they realize that those people passed through the human-level gate. Suddenly, an idea appeared in their minds. Could it be that the different levels of the passage can go deeper? Soon, the answer was given. When Yi Tianyun walked in front of two passages again, he turned his head and said to Su Fei, "You can explore here. Take advantage of this opportunity. After going out, wait for me outside. Take the left path, it will be good for you." This last sentence was said to him through voice transmission, not in front of him. Su Fei didn't take a step forward. He looked left and right, as if he was considering which path to choose. Then after thinking for a while, he chose the left path and walked in. Yi Tianyun continued to move forward and passed through another light curtain. Wang Menglong and the others also passed through the light curtain. Only those who successfully pass through the earth-level passage can't go any further. Just like the previous cultivators, they are completely stuck here. At this time, they immediately understood the problem. It was really based on the passage to determine how deep one could go. This meant that Yi Tianyun could go to the deepest place, but they couldn't go to the deepest place and obtain the best treasures. In the end, only the three of them were left, and they continued to walk forward. When there were two passages to choose from, Yi Tianyun continued to walk forward, easily passing through the passage. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.